Chapter 886. The twisting purple and gold whirlpool in the air above the Duke's palace released a holy light that lit up heaven and earth. The aura of a sacred lord that had almost reached the mystic light realm suppressed everything around the Duke's palace. The experts within the palace were unable to move due to the pressure. This suppression didn't just target the physical world. It also included intent, sword intent, and other illusory powers. In this situation, only a small number of void god realm kings and emperors could barely control their own power. Looks like Duke Nanfeng's attempt to break through to the mystic light realm is going very smoothly. Zhao Feng walked out of the building he was in. He needed to observe and comprehend the process of breaking through to the mystic light realm. In reality, Zhao Feng wasn't the only one with this mentality. Some of the experts within the palace also had this mentality. This was especially true for emperors. They needed this chance even more. At this moment, the three void god realm emperors within the Duke's palace also walked out. Duke Nanfeng was able to reach this step. The origin pollen of the cloud silkworm saint butterfly is very effective. If Duke Nanfeng can become a sacred lord, he will have a place in the Great Gon Lord dynasty, and his influence will increase dramatically. The three emperors consisted of 2 males and 1 female, and they all had smiles on their faces. One of them was a silver-haired elder, and his aura far surpassed normal emperors. He was a peak emperor. Before Duke Nanfeng went into seclusion, he had introduced these 3 emperors to Zhao Feng. However, these 3 emperors didn't put much importance on Zhao Feng, who had just become a void god realm king. What aura is that? The silver-haired elder among the 3 martial emperors suddenly sensed something and looked in a certain direction. Zhao Feng, who had just walked out of the building, also sensed something. Zhao Feng suddenly felt 4 or 5 hidden auras approach as he stood in the courtyard in front of the building. Although these auras were purposely hidden, their true bodies were too strong and fast, so they couldn't be completely hidden. Most importantly, Duke Nanfeng was at the final stage of breaking through, and some of the experts within the palace had come out. Whoosh, whoosh. A total of 4 or 5 powerful auras had already leapt into the Duke's manor. Zhao Feng and the silver-haired elder quickly scanned over with their divine sense. Their expressions changed dramatically. 5 great emperors. They seemed to be peak great emperors. The silver-haired elder shuddered. Zhao Feng's left eye contracted as he inspected the appearances and auras of the 4 men and 1 woman. 5 peak great emperors. Zhao Feng was also shocked. Ordinary 3-star sects would find it difficult to send out such a powerful lineup at once. Lord Protector, the location and location of Zhao Feng's closed-door training have been determined. The black-robed woman, who was as quiet as the moon, said respectfully. Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng, you won't be able to escape today. Bai Qing West sighed in her heart. Her powerful divine sense scanned the entire Duke's manor and locked onto Zhao Feng's location. While she was planning this, her intelligence agency had already found out the location of the Duke's manor and even bribed a spy to confirm where Zhao Feng was staying. That was correct. That was why 5 peak great emperors were able to quickly lock onto Zhao Feng after entering the Duke's manor. Surround and kill that brat. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo's deep voice seemed to come from the depths of hell. Instantly, the 5 peak emperors released their powerful auras without holding anything back, and they surrounded the building Zhao Feng was in from different directions. Although the Duke's manor was big, peak great emperors could only cover a distance of a dozen steps. Zhao Feng was in the palace and had nowhere to hide. Stop them! The 3 void god realm emperors within the Duke's manor roared in anger. The silver-haired elder reacted the fastest and led another male and female emperor over to save Zhao Feng. This was because Duke Nanfeng had told Zhao Feng to get to know these 3. Now that Zhao Feng was in trouble, they had to help Duke Nanfeng since they had a good relationship with him. Enemy attack. Everyone be on guard. Protect His Highness and kill the enemy. The Void God Realm Kings within the Duke's manor also started to move. Luckily, the 5 peak great emperors weren't targeting Duke Nanfeng, who was in seclusion. Instead, they were targeting the guest of the Duke's manor. Apart from Duke Nanfeng and the little princess, kill everyone else within the Duke's manor. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo ordered coldly. As long as they didn't harm the important members of the Great Gan Imperials, killing Zhao Feng in front of everyone wouldn't cross the Imperials' bottom line. Just as they were about to, Demonic Emperor Xian Luo and the other 4 great emperors successfully surrounded Zhao Feng. Stay here. Right at this moment, the silver-haired elder led another male and female emperor over. These 3 emperors didn't need to defeat Demonic Emperor Xian Luo and the other 4 great emperors. All they needed to do was create an opening for Zhao Feng to escape. With Zhao Feng's speed, even 5 peak great emperors wouldn't be able to catch up to him if he flew at full speed. We can't leave an opening for Zhao Feng. Bai Qingyue's expression tightened. She knew Zhao Feng's strength like the back of her hand. Back then, the reason why Zhao Feng was able to slaughter the kings of Earthspear Hall was because of his speed and eye bloodline. If they wanted to kill Zhao Feng, they had to surround him so that he wouldn't be able to escape. In order to do that, they needed at least 4 peak great emperors to work together. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo's expression darkened as he looked coldly at the silver-haired elder and the other 2 great emperors. Scorching demon, giant spirit body. In that instant, Demonic Emperor Xian Luo's body was bathed in a layer of black flames, and his body started to expand at a shocking rate. He even started to turn illusory as he turned into a flaming demonic sovereign that radiated a magnificent power of the demonic Tao. Boom! Half of the Duke's palace shook and was covered in a layer of dark demonic flames. This was because Duke Nanfeng was in the final stages of breaking through, and his mystic light's sacred power suppressed over half of his power. What? The expressions of the silver-haired elder and the other 2 great emperors changed dramatically. They trembled in front of the flaming demonic sovereign, and they felt a sense of helplessness, as if they were facing an ancient demonic sovereign. Fuck off. The flaming demonic sovereign that Demonic Emperor Xian Luo had turned into waved his hand, and a large flaming shadow swept across the silver-haired elder and the other 2 great emperors. Golden Yuan Sky Essence. The silver-haired elder at the front released a pillar of golden light that shot into the sky. It had a limitless power that seemed to be able to break through the 9 heavens. Next to him, the male and female great emperors also used their full strength in this moment of danger. However, when the shadow of the flaming hand arrived, the faces of the male and female great emperors went bright red, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Crack! The pillar of golden light that the silver-haired elder unleashed was mercilessly torn apart, and the golden light around him dimmed by more than half as he was pushed back 100 yards. One of the beautiful female great emperors screamed as she was grabbed by the flaming hand. She was crushed into pieces and instantly turned to dust. Bam! The male great emperor wasn't a peak emperor, so he was sent flying by the flaming hand and spat out a mouthful of blood. In an instant, of the 3 emperors, one was killed, one was severely injured, and one was lightly injured. The expressions of the other kings that wanted to join in changed dramatically, and they froze on the spot. Being a peak emperor, the silver-haired elder was on par with the golden-robed emperor Zhang Xiandong from the 10,000 Sacred Clan, and he was close to Duanmu Qing from the true martial Sacred Land. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo, it's you. The silver-haired elder wiped away the blood from his mouth as he retreated, and he was still in shock. His full power attack just now was nothing in front of Demonic Emperor Xian Luo's sacred demon giant spirit body. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo was indeed worthy of being an unrivaled emperor. He had the ability to threaten mystic light, realm, sacred lords. 5 peak emperors, and one of them is even slightly stronger than the Emperor of Death from back then. Zhao Feng couldn't contain the shock on his face as he stood in front of the building. The silver-haired elder's strength was close to his master, Duanmu Qing, from the true martial Sacred Land. In terms of strength, Demonic Emperor Xian Luo might be able to suppress the Emperor of Death in a head-on clash, but that was a matter of life and death. in a one-on-one situation. Even if Zhao Feng fought against demonic Emperor Xianluo, the chances of him winning weren't high. Furthermore, there were 4 other peak emperors, and their combined strength would multiply the threat. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. At the same time that demonic Emperor Xianluo attacked, Bai Qingwei and the other peak emperors had successfully surrounded Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng, your companion, Nan Gongsheng, slaughtered the elites of 9 Darkness Palace in Xieyang Palace. We'll hold you accountable today. I want to see the strength of the left-eyed heavenly emperor of the Tsang Ocean. Apart from Bai Qingwei, there was a purple-faced elder, a black-faced middle-aged man, and a black-armored youth. These 3 were all peak emperors of 9 Darkness Palace. Adding on Bai Qingwei, the 4 peak emperors surrounded Zhao Feng. Take down this brat within 3 breaths. The burning demon giant spirit body that demonic emperor Xianluo had turned into quickly closed in with a demonic aura that suppressed everyone present. The silver-haired elder and the other emperors within the Duke's palace had bitter expressions. They were powerless to change the current situation. Just demonic Emperor Xianluo alone was enough to slaughter all of them. Seeing Zhao Feng surrounded by 4 peak emperors, they could only mourn in their hearts. 3 breaths? Zhao Feng stood in place, neither advancing nor retreating. He coldly snorted, "Good. I'll make sure none of you return alive." The youth laughed coldly with a hint of mockery, which made the hearts of Bai Qingwei and the other 3 emperors shake. Bai Qingwei felt slightly uneasy. She had analyzed Zhao Feng's information and knew a bit about this youth, including his situation in the divine illusion dimension. The silver-haired elder and company in the distance were also surprised. If it was any other emperor, they wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. "Kill. Don't try to act mysterious." The black-faced, middle-aged man and the black-armored youth pounced toward Zhao Feng from the left and right. With my current strength, it's impossible for me to be surrounded by 4 peak emperors and an unrivaled emperor, but Zhao Feng stood where he was with an abnormally calm expression. Only to see, he reached out his hand, and a small jade-like silkworm appeared. Its chubby body was only the size of a thumb, and it flapped its half-transparent wings. This was the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly that had recovered most of its yuan qi. Wang, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly, opened its mouth and spat out colorful silk that instantly pierced through the void and covered an area of a few thousand feet. Arg! What? The bodies of the 2 peak martial monarchs stiffened. They were the first to be entangled by the colorful silk. Cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly. How can this Zhao Feng control the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly? Bai Qingwei and the purple-faced elder, 2 peak emperors, quickly dodged and retreated, but some of the silk still wrapped around their legs and slowed them down. Chapter 887. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The rainbow-colored silk that the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly spat out was gorgeous and dense. It shot out at a shocking speed, catching the 2 peak great emperors off guard. Not good. It's actually the cloud silkworm immortal silk. The dark-faced, middle-aged man and the black-armored youth who had attacked were tied up by the endless strands of silk. The silk was extremely tough, and it had a strange stickiness that made it hard to get rid of. In the blink of an eye, the 2 great emperors were bound by the cloud silkworm immortal silk and turned into 2 colorful dumplings. Boom! Bai Qingwei and the purple-faced elder were also affected, but they were far away from each other. They unleashed their full, true yuan and pushed aside some of the silk that was close to them. In fact, Zhao Feng didn't expect to be able to restrain 4 peak emperors at once. If he did, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's silk would be weakened. His first step was to capture the 2 peak emperors close to him. He had achieved his goal. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's attack power isn't strong, but its support ability is extremely powerful. After the successful ambush, Zhao Feng felt relieved. If he could make the 2 peak martial emperors lose their ability to fight, the pressure on him would decrease. This is a little troublesome. This kid can actually control the cloud silkworm immortal butterfly. The purple-faced elder's expression became serious as he retreated. It was also because the two of them hadn't attacked first that they hadn't been ambushed by the cloud silkworm immortal butterfly. If Bai Qingyue and the purple-faced elder were in their shoes, the result would not be any different. Don't worry. Bai Qingyuefeng's eyes landed on the two colorful dumplings that were struggling, and he said calmly, "The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly is only strong in support. It won't be able to kill two peak emperors in a short amount of time. As long as we put more pressure on Zhao Feng and the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly, the two elders will be able to struggle free." Hearing this, the purple-faced old man heaved a sigh of relief. He took a closer look. The two colorful rice dumplings were surging with shocking energy, and the cloud silkworm immortal silk inside them was cracking. It was obvious that the two pinnacle martial monarchs had a chance to break free if they used their full strength. In less than a breath's time, ka-chi-chi, there were cracks on the surface of the two colorful dumplings. The enraged roars of two peak martial emperors came from within. Go! The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's abilities aren't as strong as the rumors say and can threaten mystic light realm sacred lords. The purple-faced old man cried out in alarm and took the lead to attack Zhao Feng. As long as he exerted more pressure on Zhao Feng, the two peak martial monarchs would be able to break free. Bai Qingyue's eyebrows furrowed. She hesitated for a moment, but she had to follow. She felt that something was wrong. The speed at which the two peak martial emperors were struggling was faster than she had expected. According to the rumors, it should be very easy for the cloud silkworm immortal butterfly to trap a few great emperors. Apparently, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly had once participated in killing a mystic light realm sacred Yao. Perhaps it was because this cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly was still weak and couldn't unleash its full power. Ka-chi-chi. The two great sovereigns were about to break free from the colorful rice dumpling. Kill! At the same time, the purple-faced elder and Bai Qingyue charged toward Zhao Feng. In the distance, the silver-haired elder and the other experts from the Duke's palace felt their hearts rise to their throats. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. Even if Zhao Feng was able to control the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly, it wasn't enough to fight against 5 peak emperors. Furthermore, demonic Emperor Xianluo was about to arrive as well. At this critical moment, a solemn expression appeared on Zhao Feng's calm face. Success or failure will depend on this. Zhao Feng suddenly waved his hand, and the transparent wings of the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly in front of him started to flutter. Those who paid attention would realize that the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly didn't bother with the 2 peak emperors anymore. Zhao Feng didn't seem to have any intentions of killing the 2 peak emperors. Whoosh! At this moment, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly quickly fluttered its wings, and a wave of half-transparent pollen formed a whirlwind that swept across several hundred yards. Watch out! It's the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's dream pollen. Bai Qingyue was already slightly wary and puzzled as she advanced. When the colorful pollen whirlwind swept over, her heart jumped. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's support wasn't limited to its silk. The pollen it released was even more unique. Whoosh! The purple-faced elder and Bai Qingyue were unable to dodge and were enveloped by the dream pollen whirlwind. Bai Qingyue's reaction was a bit faster, and a layer of crystal-like moonlight appeared around her body. It was like a natural barrier that blocked off her ears, nose, and other organs. However, even then, Bai Qingyue's body felt soft the instant the dream pollen swept over her, and she instinctively stopped moving forward. Bai Qingyue didn't know that her hesitation and stopping now had changed her fate. Not good. My true Yuan. The purple-faced elder was at the front and was hit by the dream pollen, and he had to face the core of the pollen. His body instantly became limp, and he started to lose control of his true Yuan and bloodline as panic appeared on his face. Being a peak emperor, he wouldn't be truly defeated even if he used his true Yuan secret technique, but his strength, especially his mobility, would drop by more than a level. The unique ability of this dream pollen can pass through both the physical and soul dimension. It's even effective against mystic light realm sacred lords. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face as he nodded his head. Since he dared to fight against 5 kings, he obviously had something he could rely on. At this moment, the power of the dream pollen had caused the strength of the 2 peak emperors to drop by half a level and 1 level respectively. The purple-faced elder froze as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He was trying his best to resist the power of the dream pollen and was unable to attack Zhao Feng. Crack! Crack! Right at this moment, cracks started to appear on the surface of the 2 colorful rice dumplings, and the heads of the 2 peak emperors could be seen. These 2 peak emperors were about to break free with their full power, and their expressions were green and filled with hatred. As soon as they broke free, they would attack Zhao Feng with all their might. Bai Qingyue and the purple-faced elder, who were affected by the dream pollen, saw a glimmer of hope in their eyes. The moment you break out of your cocoons will be the beginning of your new life. Zhao Feng laughed instead of being surprised. The slight laughter made Bai Qingyue's heart drop. From the beginning to the end, the purple-haired youth was calm and composed, standing at an unfathomable level. This was exactly what the report said about him. Shua! Wang! Zhao Feng suddenly waved his hand, and the buzzing sound of honey sounded in his ears. That's... Bai Qingyue's heart shook as she saw a total of 8 colorful bees appear from Zhao Feng's arm. The aura from each bee was comparable to a king, and some were even comparable to a peak-tier king. A terrifying sense of danger was brewing within them. 5 poison bee kings. Watch out! Bai Qingyue seemed to recognize where these bees came from, and her heart went cold. Unfortunately, her warning was too late. The 2 peak emperors used all their strength and barely managed to break out of the multicolored rice dumpling. However, the moment they saw the light of day again was the end of their nightmare. Wang, shoo. One of the peak emperors was pierced through the heart by 4 burning colorful bees. The 5 poisoned distinct bees weren't very strong, but their suicidal attacks used their lives and souls as the price, and they had the ability to kill those stronger than them. In theory, each of these bee kings had the ability to kill emperors. For safety, Zhao Feng used 4 bee kings on each of the 2 peak emperors. He did it when they had just broken out of the multicolored cocoons and their defenses were limited. If it was too early, it wouldn't work. This was because the Cloud Silkworm Saint Silk's toughness and defense were very strong. Normal emperors would find it hard to break through. Shoo boom. In that instant, the bodies of the 2 peak emperors exploded under the suicidal attacks of the 8 burning bee kings. Their flesh and blood turned a sad, multicolored green. This scene stunned Bai Qingyue and the purple-faced elder. In just the blink of an eye, the 2 peak emperors had died under the attacks of the 8 5-poison bee kings. This kind of death wasn't grand and spectacular, but rather a death that was caught off guard and inexplicable. The suicidal attacks of the 5 poison distinct bees are suitable for sneak attacks. If the target is on guard, the effect will be greatly reduced. Shock appeared in Zhao Feng's heart. The 2 that had died were both peak emperors. In a one-on-one situation, Zhao Feng would need close to 10 breaths to kill any one of them. Dream pollen, not good. 5 poison distinct bees. Right at this moment, demonic emperor Xianluo, who had turned into a giant flaming figure, flew through the air. He had been a bit slower because he had to deal with the emperors from the Duke's palace. As he was rushing over, he saw the 2 emperors being tied up by the silk and by Qingyue and the other person being attacked by the dream pollen. When he arrived, the 2 peak emperors had already died under the suicidal attacks of the 5 poison distinct bees. All of this happened in just a few breaths. Furthermore, it wasn't over yet. The moment the 8 5-poison distinct bees completed their mission of mutual destruction, Zhao Feng also took action. Sacred lightning dominating body. Zhao Feng took a step forward, and his body became taller. He released a layer of golden blue lightning, and he looked like a small golden lightning giant. With just one step, Zhao Feng closed in on the purple-faced elder, who had become weak and whose battle power had decreased. Boom! The body of the late stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body was like a giant mountain that smashed onto the purple-faced elder's body. Wah! The purple-faced elder's weak body seemed to be hit by a giant hammer, and he instantly fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Under the influence of the dream pollen, his battle power had decreased by more than 1 level, and he couldn't circulate his true yuan and bloodline as he wished. Illusion Maze Domain. The instant Zhao Feng punched out, the Soul Dao Domain made the purple-faced elder fall into despair. Stop! The giant flaming demonic sovereign that demonic Emperor Xian Luo had turned into was too late to stop Zhao Feng. Kaboom! Crack! Zhao Feng didn't stop at all, and he punched the purple-faced elder into pieces. The purple-faced elder didn't even have time to put up a proper defense due to the dream pollen and the illusion maze domain, and he was killed by Zhao Feng with 1 punch. Third slash. In just a few breaths, the 3rd peak emperor had died. Zhao Feng glanced at Bai Qingyue on the other side after killing the purple-faced elder. So, the 2 elders that were bound by the silk were just bait. Zhao Feng's goal was to kill all 4 of us in 1 fell swoop. Bai Qingyue took in a cold breath. Zhao Feng's first ambush and second ambush were all done to kill the 4 peak emperors that had arrived first. At this moment in time, Bai Qingyue's body went cold under Zhao Feng's gaze. She suddenly realized that she was also the target of Zhao Feng's second ambush. Could it be that Zhao Feng had forgotten about her? The answer was soon revealed. Meow! A silver-gray streak flashed behind Bai Qingyue the moment Zhao Feng finished killing. Shua! A dagger that was as dark as a shadow stabbed into Bai Qingyue's back, and blood splattered everywhere. Chapter 888. You! Bai Qingyue's body froze as she looked at Zhao Feng, who had a smile that wasn't a smile. In just a few breaths, Zhao Feng's ambushes had caused the deaths of 3 peak emperors. After Zhao Feng killed the purple-faced elder, Bai Qingyue was also ambushed. The dagger on her back was made of a special material that contained the profound laws of the Tao of assassination. It pierced through her back. A numbing sensation spread across Bai Qingyue's body. At that instant, she was like a petrified moonlight beauty. It was as if she was choking and couldn't say anything. The little thieving cat's shadow kill imperial dagger had been strengthened in the Heaven's legacy ancient city, and it had a rare numbing effect. However, at this moment, the scene of Zhao Feng killing the 3 peak emperors appeared in Bai Qingyue's mind. The first ambush, Zhao Feng was in a very weak situation, and he used the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly to trap 2 peak emperors. In reality, if the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly used its full power, the 2 peak emperors wouldn't be able to escape in a short amount of time, even if the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly wasn't at its peak state. After that, Zhao Feng let the 2 peak emperors struggle. They were about to break free, and he used them as bait to lure the other 2 peak emperors. In order to save the 2 emperors, Bai Qingyue and the purple-faced elder charged in to pressure Zhao Feng. However, at this moment, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly used its dream pollen to weaken the battle between the 2. In the second ambush, the purple-faced old man was completely hit and directly killed. Bai Qingyue was prepared and was half a step behind. She wasn't hit too deeply, so she barely managed to survive. Shua! When the little thieving cat's shadow kill imperial dagger stabbed into Bai Qingyue's body, she barely managed to add a layer of moonlight to her organs. However, her battle power had been reduced by half a level, and she had been hit by the shadow kill imperial dagger, so she was still injured. Wong bam! Bai Qingyue harumphed, and layers of moonlight shot out from her body, pushing away the shadow kill imperial dagger and the little thieving cat that were stabbing into her body. However, this made her injuries worse, and she started to sweat. Meow meow. The little thieving cat flipped in the air and landed on Zhao Feng's arm. You're already doing quite well. Zhao Feng waved his hand and put the little thieving cat into the misty spatial world. The little thieving cat wasn't good at fighting head-on, and the black-robed female, Bai Qingyue, was indeed very cautious. Adding on the fact that she had the strength of a peak emperor, the little thieving cat couldn't fight head-on. Zhao Feng's original goal was to kill 3 to 4 peak martial emperors before demonic emperor Xian Luo arrived. His perfect goal was to kill the 4 great emperors. However, in Zhao Feng's plan, he had to take out at least 2 peak emperors. At this moment, 3 of the 4 peak martial monarchs had died, and one of them was severely injured. Junior, you actually used despicable means to kill 3 elders of my 9 Nether Palace. Demon Emperor Xian Luo, who had rushed to the scene, let out a low roar in shock. Everything happened too quickly. Within the Duke's palace, the silver-haired elder and the other Void God Realm experts were all dazed. In just a few breaths, Zhao Feng had used various methods to kill 3 peak emperors and severely injure one. At this moment, only demonic Emperor Xian Luo still had his battle power intact out of the 5 peak emperors that surrounded Zhao Feng. This demonic Emperor Xian Luo's strength should be on the same level as the Emperor of Death. Even if he's slightly stronger, it's not that obvious. Zhao Feng remained calm as he inspected this unrivaled emperor. From a certain perspective, Demon Emperor Xian Luo could be considered to have the battle power of a half-step Sacred Lord. However, there was no such thing as a half-step Sacred Lord in terms of cultivation. This was because the main difference between the Mystic Light Realm and True Yuan was the physical level. Either they failed, or they turned from a snake to a dragon. In front of a ruined building, Zhao Feng and Demon Emperor Xian Luo faced each other. They were only a couple dozen yards apart. Demon Emperor Xian Luo's dark, flaming demonic sovereign was more than a dozen stories tall, and a layer of demonic flames covered half the sky behind him. In the entire Duke's palace, only the aura of sacred power used to break through to the mystic light realm could suppress Demon Emperor Xian Luo. Even with the sacred lightning body, Zhao Feng was only a small golden lightning giant that was 6 yards tall. In front of Demon Emperor Xian Luo's sacred demon spirit body, there was a certain difference in terms of aura. However, this difference in size didn't give Demon Emperor Xian Luo much confidence. His flaming body floated in the air, but he didn't dare to attack. Instead, wariness and caution appeared in his eyes. Before this, he had watched 3 peak emperors die to Zhao Feng's schemes. Who? The hearts of the Void God Realm spectators within the Duke's palace jumped, and they held their breaths. The purple-haired youth, who was originally at a disadvantage, instantly killed 3 peak emperors and severely injured the 4th. And now, this king-level youth was facing off against Demon Emperor Xian Luo, who was said to be unrivaled amongst emperors. Demon Emperor Xian Luo, do you dare to fight? Zhao Feng suddenly spoke, and the physical force radiating from his sacred lightning body started to condense. Over the past few months, his sacred lightning body's cultivation speed had been very slow, but facing such a strong opponent, it was slightly stimulated. Indeed, after recovering his strength, Zhao Feng hadn't sparred with a decent opponent, especially a strong one. Lord Protector, don't fight. Zhao Feng has many methods, and he has the help of the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly. On top of that, there are other emperors within the Duke's palace. Bai Qingwei immediately messaged with an urgent expression. She was heavily injured, and her battle power was greatly reduced. She was constantly on guard against attacks from Zhao Feng's side. Right now, she wasn't thinking about how to kill Zhao Feng, but how to escape. Bai Qingyue's only chance to escape was to team up with Demon Emperor Xian Luo and charge out. Retreat? I've never lost in such a stupid way before. Demon Emperor Xian Luo's expression became grim. His strength and pride wouldn't allow him to admit defeat to a youth so easily. Even if that youth was the left-eyed heavenly emperor that had come from the Tsang Ocean. Even if he was going to run, he had to prove himself and show his opponent what he was capable of. Do you dare to fight? Zhao Feng roared as he circulated his sacred lightning force to the maximum, and his golden blue body started to expand. Boom! A blood-red light that could cover up the sun suddenly erupted from Zhao Feng's body, and he instantly punched Demon Emperor Xian Luo with the help of his sacred lightning force. The speed and explosive power of the attack, made by Qingyue Clickertongue. Even Demon Emperor Xianluo was caught off guard. No one would have thought that this youth would dare to attack an unrivaled emperor so domineeringly. Oomph. A cold light shot out of Demon Emperor Xianluo's hollow eyes, and his body was bathed in black flames that created a forbidden black ripple. He didn't retreat or advance. He stood where he was and used his demonic spirit body to take Zhao Feng's attack head-on. Kaboom! The sound of mountains collapsing and the ground cracking covered Demon Emperor Xian Luo's giant, flaming spirit body. The terrifying physical force of Zhao Feng's punch and the explosive power of the Blood Devil Sun bloodline caused Demon Emperor Xian Luo's expression to change dramatically, and his body shook. Whoosh! In an instant, a layer of rampaging Blood Sun flame Qi ignited and covered the body of Demon Emperor Xian Luo, wanting to spread throughout his body. Demon Emperor Xian Luo's expression became grim, and the flames on his body surged and instantly engulfed the flames on the surface. The sacred demon giant spirit body that he cultivated was formed from limitless dark flames, and it countered the Blood Devil Sun bloodline. What disgusted him the most was that Zhao Feng's punch seemed to suck out some of his essence, energy, and blood. Bam! Zhao Feng was also pushed back by the forbidden black ripple around Demon Emperor Xian Luo's body. Immortal body! Zhao Feng stared at Demon Emperor Xian Luo's flaming body. The large hole that he had created in Demon Emperor Xian Luo's body instantly healed. In other words, Zhao Feng's punch just now didn't pose any real threat to Demon Emperor Xian Luo. Not only that, Zhao Feng found that his Blood Devil Sun bloodline countered his opponent's bloodline. The Blood Devil Sun bloodline's blood-sucking abilities were also greatly reduced. This Demon Emperor Xian Luo's sacred demon giant spirit body is even stronger and unique than the Emperor of Death's immortal death body. Zhao Feng's pupils contracted. In the past, the Emperor of Death had lost to him mainly because his soul eye bloodline techniques were countered by Zhao Feng. However, this Demon Emperor Xian Luo was undoubtedly stronger in a head-on fight. Kneel! Demon Emperor Xian Luo roared coldly as he waved his hand, and the flaming shadow behind him started to shine with a black light. Shwa! In an instant, a giant flaming shadow hand seemed to descend from the sky and press down on Zhao Feng's body with a demonic and fiery aura. The power of that palm could shake heaven and earth, and its intent was extremely profound. The space around Zhao Feng seemed to be locked down, similar to the sky-locking bow. Unknowingly, the space around Zhao Feng was locked down by the flaming shadow. One had to admit that Demon Emperor Xian Luo's techniques, intent, body, and soul had all reached the peak of the Void God realm. In some aspects, he had even reached the mystic light realm. Demon Emperor Xian Luo's mastery of his techniques and secret techniques had reached the peak. His foundation was extremely deep. Zhao Feng started to feel tired. This was something that would only happen when he met a strong opponent. It wasn't too hard for him to defeat Demon Emperor Xian Luo. All he needed to do was use the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly's help and use his eye bloodline and God Tribulation Lightning. However, Zhao Feng also wanted to fight with this demonic Dao powerhouse. Sacred Lightning Protection. Zhao Feng merged the power of Wind Lightning and the physical force of his sacred lightning physical force, and an ancient barrier of lightning formed around him. Golden lightning flashed as the sound of wind and lightning boomed. Boom! Wong! The flaming shadow hand landed on Zhao Feng's body, but it was blocked by the sacred lightning protection, and lightning flashed. On top of that, crack! Dazzling golden lightning patterns shot out from the surface of the quaint lightning barrier, and it blasted apart the monstrous flaming shadow hand. The fusion of physical force and sacred lightning? What kind of defensive technique is this? Demon Emperor Xian Luo's heart shook. His profound and dominating attack didn't do anything, and it was even countered by Zhao Feng's sacred lightning protection. A flaming hand. Boom! Although the power between Zhao Feng and Demon Emperor Qianluo was extremely condensed, there was still a large crater with a radius of 1,000 yards. Chapter 889. Boom! The area where Zhao Feng and demonic Emperor Qianluo fought was only a few dozen yards wide, but the entire Duke's palace started to shake. If it wasn't for the fact that the materials used to build the Duke's palace weren't ordinary and were close to 3-star sex, it would have collapsed long ago. However, even then, the hearts of the experts within the Duke's palace shook as they carefully pulled away. The silver-haired elder, who was a peak emperor, helped to disperse the shock waves and disperse the weaker people. Sacred lightning dominating fist. The sound of bones cracking sounded from Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body, and his fist started to move in a weird rhythm as he unleashed punches after punches. Boom, boom, boom. With the naked eye, one could see giant fists made of golden lightning, and they were like mountains made of metal. Every time they charged forward, it was as if the sun was burning the sky. The intent of this fist and the body-strengthening style are similar to the legendary Golden Kuan sacred lightning body. Demonic Emperor Qianluo's giant burning demon spirit body started to shake under Zhao Feng's attacks, and the flaming giant burning demon spirit body started to explode. After using the sacred lightning dominating fist, Zhao Feng's punches became more organized. Each of his punches contained the profound intent of the dominating fist, and he could use force to crush everything. At this moment, Zhao Feng's fighting style was similar to the child demigod. In terms of sacred body, Zhao Feng was only stronger than the child demigod back then. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body contained the element of lightning, and it was stronger when cultivated with the 5-elemental wind lightning technique. The difference between Zhao Feng and the child demigod was in the usage of physical force and the intent of the sacred lightning dominating fist. However, Zhao Feng had a mutated blood devil sun bloodline, and the explosive power he could unleash made his battle power increase by 1 or 2 levels. Pung, pung, crack. Zhao Feng's holy lightning dominating fist was dazzling like a blazing sun. It was as if he had transformed into a primordial god of war that crushed everything in his path. Even someone as strong as Demon Emperor Qianluo was suppressed for a short period of time as he clashed with Zhao Feng. At the center of the collision, shock waves swept in all directions, wreaking havoc in half of the Duke's mansion. Sky-burning demon sword. Demonic Emperor Qianluo's giant, flaming spirit body split out a gigantic sword of dark flames. He no longer engaged in a physical battle with Zhao Feng. In physical combat, no one was a match for a body cultivator. On top of that, Zhao Feng's holy lightning physique was far more powerful than the original Golden Kuan sacred body. Wings of Tempest. Zhao Feng's body was covered in dazzling golden lightning, and a pair of gigantic wind thunder wings extended from his back. His power and agility were further enhanced. Bang! Clang! Demonic Emperor Qianluo's gigantic sword of dark flames landed on Zhao Feng's body, but it was pushed away by the latter's golden lightning and fists. Boom! The gigantic wings of Tempest on Zhao Feng's back fluttered and created a tornado of wind and lightning that turned everything it passed into ashes. Boom! The buildings of the Duke's mansion were turned into ashes one by one. Although Zhao Feng and demonic Emperor Qianluo's battle was moving away from the ground and into the air, the two were fighting fiercely, and their destructive power became stronger and stronger. In the end, they could easily destroy 1-star or 2-star forces. Zhao Feng, stop! The silver-haired emperor and the others worked together to dissolve the shock waves, but some of the arrays of the Duke's mansion had already been torn apart. It is always easier to destroy than to repair. All the reports underestimated Zhao Feng. Just how strong is the left-eyed heavenly emperor? Bai Qingyue's cold body endured the shock waves of the battle. She wanted to find a chance to escape, but the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly had its eyes on her. Whoosh! Whoosh! Rings of silk forced by Qingyue, whose limbs were numb and weak, to the point where she was in danger. Some silk would wrap around her body, and when she finally managed to get rid of it, more cloud silkworm Saint silk would wrap around her. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's emerald eyes had an innocent and playful look. It was as if it was just playing around without Zhao Feng's orders. Otherwise, by Qing Wei, whose battle power had decreased, would have been turned into a multicolored dumpling already. Protect her. If we don't run now, we won't have another chance. Bai Qingwei was in a lot of pain, so she quickly sent a message. Meow meow. Right at this moment, a voice that made her heart go cold sounded from behind her. The little thieving cat had a playful expression as it scratched the dark gold necklace on its neck. Wang, the dark gold necklace on his neck, suddenly transformed into a lifelike dark gold dragon snake whip. As he swung it, it created numerous golden dragon shadows, and a wave of terrifying dragon roars could be faintly heard. Every time this dark golden dragon snake whip swung, it would create an invisible force that suppressed one's blood and drew you on. It was as if a true dragon had possessed one's body. This whip was a part of the golden skeleton in the ancient ruins of the divine illusion dimension. Even Nangongxing's nose ring was from the golden skeleton. The owner of the golden skeleton was at least a mystic light realm sacred lord in his previous life, and they might even be close to the demigod level. Ark. Bai Qingwei was caught in the middle, and her dark green robe was ripped apart by the little thieving cat's golden dragon, revealing a pair of snow-white and red legs. Bai Qingwei felt a burning sensation on her legs as the little thieving cat's dark golden dragon snake whip wrapped around her. Her body froze for a moment, then a multicolored silk wrapped around her lower body tightly. In just 1 or 2 breaths, Bai Qingwei was wrapped up into a multicolored cocoon. Meow meow. The little thieving cat jumped onto the multicolored cocoon, and the dark golden whip in its hand quickly turned back into a thin necklace that returned to its neck. Hoo-pa! The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly flew onto the little thieving cat's neck and rubbed its chubby body against it. After the two beasts teamed up and captured a peak female emperor, they looked curiously at the battle between Zhao Feng and demonic Emperor Xian Luo. Not good. Bai Qingwei has been captured. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo's heart went cold. He was the only one left of the 5 peak emperors. He was filled with regret, but there was nothing he could do. Right at this moment, the silver-haired elder, a peak emperor, finally couldn't endure the damage that Zhao Feng and Bai Qingwei had done to the Duke's palace and charged over. The addition of a peak emperor would definitely affect the battle between Zhao Feng and demonic Emperor Xian Luo. Furthermore, demonic Emperor Xian Luo still had to be wary of the 2 seemingly innocent and cute spiritual pets. These 2 spiritual pets had captured Bai Qingwei, a peak emperor, as if they were playing around. This made demonic Emperor Xian Luo's heart sink. Just Zhao Feng alone would be able to fight against him for a short period of time. He was a strong opponent that couldn't be ignored. Furthermore, there were so many other factors that could threaten him. Today's battle is over. Left-eyed Heavenly Emperor, I've experienced your strength. Demon Emperor Xian Luo's expression was gloomy and filled with resentment and unwillingness. His giant spirit body of flames suddenly transformed into a gray cloud of flames, and with a swish, it instantly merged into the distant horizon and disappeared in a flash. So fast, Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. The speed of demonic Emperor Xian Luo's secret technique was probably close to the Wind Lightning Emperor's level. Although this battle was short, Zhao Feng had expended a lot of his true yuan. For a short period of time, he could fight against demonic Emperor Xian Luo head-on, but as time went on, it would become more and more difficult. This was a gap brought about by cultivation, mastery of cultivation techniques, and strength. For example, demonic Emperor Xian Luo's giant, flaming demon spirit body had the nature of an immortal body. Even Zhao Feng's ferocious attacks weren't able to do any actual damage to him. My sacred lightning body also cultivates the undying sacred lightning body. It was obvious that he was a non-human. Zhezhe, the experts in your palace are quite surprising. If it wasn't for those from Nine Darkness Palace, my assassination mission wouldn't have been completed so smoothly. The male in the black shadow pulled out the dark shadow sword with a whoosh. Duke Nanfeng gave a deep groan as his body shook. The weird thing was that the wound on his body didn't bleed. Instead, it gave off a stinky gray smoke. Chapter 890. Go and save Duke Nanfeng. The silver-haired elder and company were filled with panic and regret as they charged toward where Duke Nanfeng was in seclusion. Earlier, 5 peak emperors from Nine Darkness Palace had appeared, and everyone had forgotten about Duke Nanfeng, who was trying to break through to the mystic light realm. No one expected that there would be another assassin targeting Duke Nanfeng apart from demonic Emperor Xianluo. There's no time. Zhao Feng's left eye contracted as he saw what was happening in the underground secret chamber, and his heart jumped. At this moment, the mysterious male in the black shadow pulled out the dark shadow sword from Duke Nanfeng's body and increased the damage. Duke Nanfeng's wound didn't bleed, but it gave off a smelly gray-black smoke. It was obvious that there was a rare lethal poison smeared on the sword. Zhao Feng felt guilty and regretful. Duke Nanfeng had told him some things before entering seclusion, and he had given him the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly to take care of and protect. In reality, Duke Nanfeng had introduced Zhao Feng to the silver-haired elder and the other 2 emperors so that they could guard the Duke's palace together and prevent any accidents from happening. Under normal situations, no one from any force would dare to attack Duke Nanfeng openly. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. This would have finally happened. Within the underground secret chamber, you're the 29th ranked assassin of Black Screen Corner, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Duke Nanfeng's body started to sway. His face was pale white, and his eyes were filled with despair and bitterness. That's right, I'm Supreme Emperor Dark Knight, but I'm ranked 25th right now. Half a month ago, I participated in the assassination of a severely injured Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord and increased my ranking. The male in the black shadow smiled proudly and was extremely confident. He seemed to already have victory in his grasp. After pulling out the rippling dark shadow sword, he glanced in Zhao Feng's direction with interest. Zhao Feng felt an inexplicable coldness and danger from that gaze. Capture the assassin. The silver-haired elder and the other emperor arrived first and charged into Duke Nanfeng's secret chamber. However, before they could do anything, the attack arrived. Boom! A translucent ball of dark purple flame with the aura of destruction, tribulation, lightning whizzed over and bombarded Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Ah! The black-shadowed man screamed miserably as his body shattered into pieces. Such a powerful eye flame secret technique. The silver-haired old man and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. They could not help looking at Zhao Feng, who had yet to arrive. The eye flame, just now, had given the 2 martial monarchs a suffocating pressure. Wind lightning eye flame. Zhao Feng's expression changed after his left eye finished its attack. The pressure that Supreme Emperor Dark Knight gave him was even greater than Demon Emperor Xianluo. So how could he be killed so easily? Whoosh! In the sky far away from the Duke's mansion, a man with dark bat wings on his back appeared. His entire body was shrouded in the shadows of black streams, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Inside the Marquis's mansion, the silver-haired elder and the other experts who had missed their target were shocked. Almost no one could tell when Supreme Emperor Dark Knight finished his attack or when he retreated unscathed. This Supreme Emperor Dark Knight cultivates the 8-winged dark shadow doppelganger, a sacred bloodline technique. His doppelganger and his main body can overlap, and each doppelganger has 30 to 40% of the main body strength. Maybe the one that just appeared is his doppelganger. Duke Nanfeng coughed, and his face became paler. It was obvious that he knew about Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Zhe, as expected of the left-eyed Heavenly Emperor, whose name shakes the Song Ocean. You're also on the Black Screen Corner assassination rankings. Maybe my next target will be you. The bat-winged Supreme Emperor Dark Knight inspected Zhao Feng with a playful expression. Whoosh! The black-shadowed figure flashed, and the bat-winged male merged into the sky and disappeared. In terms of speed, this Supreme Emperor Dark Knight wasn't any slower than Zhao Feng when he was at his peak. In terms of weirdness, he seemed to be even stronger. What a terrifying assassin. What kind of existence is Black Screen Corner? Zhao Feng had a solemn expression. Although Supreme Emperor Dark Knight wasn't a mystic light realm sacred lord, his technique and bloodline had both reached the limit of a peak emperor, and his battle power was comparable to a quasi-sacred lord. Apart from that, there was something else that was suspicious. Why did Supreme Emperor Dark Knight leave after one attack and not kill Duke Nanfeng? This Supreme Emperor Dark Knight is a top-tier assassin of Black Screen Corner, and he always leaves after one attack. My guess is that his mission this time was to stop me from breaking through to the Mystic Light Realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left me alive. Duke Nanfeng sighed. "Duke, are you all right?" The experts and guards of the Duke's palace all rushed over and started to question themselves. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he looked at Duke Nanfeng's wound. "I'm in a situation where I'm about to die. Maybe need to make some final arrangements." Duke Nanfeng smiled bitterly as his aura became weaker. "Duke." The hearts of everyone present shook, and they revealed expressions of pity. Duke Nanfeng's wound started to fester and expand, and more smelly black smoke rose from his body. Even with Duke Nanfeng's strength, he couldn't stop the poison. "I was stabbed by one of the 7 great inheritance sacred weapons of the Tao of Assassination, the Sky Shadow stabbing sword, and it contains the black spring poison unique to Black Screen Corner. Very few people below the Mystic Light Realm will be able to block it, unless they cultivate an immortal body and can delay it for a while." Duke Nanfeng's life force started to fade, and his eyes started to become empty. With his god spiritual eye, Zhao Feng found that the poison didn't just target his physical body, it even eroded his soul. Even Zhao Feng felt troubled by the power of this black spring poison. After all, he wasn't a doctor. The rest of the people present were even more unprepared. There were skilled doctors in the Duke's palace, but they couldn't do anything about Duke Nanfeng's injuries. "Let me." Zhao Feng stood up, and a freezing pond appeared in his left eye that radiated a bone-chilling coldness. "I have ice soul." A weird soul intent shot out from Zhao Feng's left eye and instantly covered Duke Nanfeng's soul. Duke Nanfeng still had a wisp of consciousness, and he knew that Zhao Feng was helping him, so he didn't block it. Duke Nanfeng's soul was soon frozen, and the speed at which the black spring poison corroded his soul decreased dramatically. Zhao Feng's goal was very clear. He wanted to protect Duke Nanfeng's soul. After all, the soul was the core. Without a physical body, Void God Realm Kings and Emperors could take over someone else's body and even use treasures to reform their body. Next, Zhao Feng calmed down and started to analyze the black spring poison within Duke Nanfeng's body. This black spring poison was extremely unique. It existed between the physical and non-physical. It didn't affect the physical and true yuan, but it had a fatal corrosive effect on life and the soul. After being poisoned by this poison, the physical body and soul of a living being would start to rot or even evaporate. In order to stop the corrosion of the black spring poison, Zhao Feng circulated his ice water bloodline and used the Ice Imperial Seal to slowly seal Duke Nanfeng's body. Cloud Silkworm, Saint Butterfly. Before Duke Nanfeng fainted, he managed to spit out a few blurry words. Zhao Feng couldn't help but understand. The Cloud Silkworm, Saint Butterfly's pollen could be used against enemies, and it also had the ability to neutralize poison. Soon, the little thieving cat and the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly arrived. Whoosh! The Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly was intelligent, and it immediately spat out a pure white pollen that covered Duke Nanfeng's body when it saw that its master was poisoned. Zhao Feng immediately circulated his ice water bloodline and allowed the white pollen to merge into Duke Nanfeng's body and soul. The pollen of the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly was effective on both the body and the soul. However, the silk of the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly was only effective on physical objects. A while later, Zhao Feng found that the poison on Duke Nanfeng's body was only slightly suppressed. From the looks of it, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly could only slow down Duke Nanfeng's death. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paw at Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng understood what it meant, and he summoned more than a dozen 5 poison distinct bees from the misty spatial world. The 5 poison distinct bees could collect all kinds of pollen regardless of whether it was poisonous or non-poisonous. Apart from that, the stinger of the 5 poison distinct bees contained a lethal poison. Go! Zhao Feng waved his hand, and the ice turned into a stream of water. The elite 5 poison distinct bees started to collect pollen from Duke Nanfeng's body. A few breaths later, whoosh! One of the 5 poison distinct bees turned into a puddle of black water after a while, and it died on the spot. There seems to be some effect. Zhao Feng revealed a weird expression. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly and his ice could only suppress the poison slightly. On the other hand, after one of the 5 poison distinct bees died, Zhao Feng found that the black spring poison within Duke Nanfeng's body seemed to have decreased. This was a fundamental change. After that, the dozen or so 5 poison distinct bees that were collected from Duke Nanfeng's body died one by one. In order to achieve the best effect, Zhao Feng even sent a queen bee and several elite 5 poison distinct bees into Duke Nanfeng's body to collect. Time slowly passed by. The 5 poison distinct bees died one by one, and Duke Nanfeng's expression started to turn for the better. It could be said that this was a life for a life. It was a life for a life, and it was a life for a life. Zhao Feng didn't think that the 5 poison distinct bees' mutual destruction method could be used here. After that, Zhao Feng thought of something, and he took out a green water sky lotus from the misty spatial world and plucked a few pure white petals. Wongbo. There was a gentle white light on the surface of the petal, and Zhao Feng crushed it and turned it into juice, which he fed to Duke Nanfeng. The petals of the green water sky lotus? Duke Nanfeng revealed a joyful expression. He obviously knew a bit about the green water sky lotus's name and effects. The petals of the lotus had too many uses. Not only could it cleanse the body and soul, it could also increase one's state of existence, and it could also get rid of hidden injuries and poisons. After eating the petals, wisps of pure white light appeared in Duke Nanfeng's body and covered his entire body like the petals of a flower. Along with the 5 poison distinct bees' ability to collect poison, the black spring poison within Duke Nanfeng's body was unexpectedly dissolved. Zhao Feng let out a long breath. Only after Duke Nanfeng didn't die did the self-blame in his heart become better. After all, he had attracted 5 peak emperors from 9 Darkness Palace, and Zhao Feng was fighting with demonic Emperor Xianluo. Otherwise, the resistance of Supreme Lord Dark Knight would greatly increase. Zhao Feng, it's all thanks to you this time. Moreover, you have to be careful as well. You're now a target on Black Screen Corner's assassination list. Duke Nanfeng's eyes stared at Zhao Feng. Finally, his voice disappeared, and he sent a divine sense message. Be careful. It's very likely that Supreme Emperor Dark Knight will come back and assassinate you a second time. Chapter 891. A Second Assassination Attempt. Zhao Feng paused for a moment, then smiled and said fearlessly, I do hope that he'll come back. He had a rough estimate of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's strength. He was at the same level as Demon Emperor Xianluo. However, because he was good at assassination, he could kill a great emperor with one strike instead of a head-on battle. However, once Zhao Feng was on guard, his eye bloodline countered this type of assassination. Zhao Feng, don't underestimate Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's strength. He's ranked on the Black Screen Corner Assassin rankings. From his ranking, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's strength is at least that of an unrivaled emperor, and his battle power is close to that of a quasi-sacred lord. Duke Nanfeng shook his head and warned. He had been ambushed by Supreme Emperor Dark Knight while he was in seclusion, so he knew how strong he was. Quasi-sacred lord battle power? Zhao Feng's eyebrows rose up. He obviously knew that because of the difference in location, the difference in strength between emperors was more strict. In the ash-gray sea, a peak great emperor was an unrivaled existence below a holy master. However, in the Lord dynasty, peak emperors and mystic light realm sacred lords were further divided. In general, the strength of emperors was split into 4 types. The first type were normal emperors, such as Emperor Muyun and the Cold Moon Emperor. The second type were peak emperors, such as Duan Muqing. The third type were unrivaled emperors, such as demonic Emperor Xianluo. There was something worth mentioning. The Emperor of Death was almost at the level of an unrivaled emperor, and some of his forbidden arts even made sacred lords wary. However, the Tsang Ocean didn't have such a detailed classification. However, the Emperor of Death's Eye of Death and Tao of the Soul were countered by Zhao Feng. Even then, Zhao Feng had to chase after the Emperor of Death for a long time and wear him down before finally killing him. If it was a peak emperor, it would only take 10 breaths. If it was an unrivaled emperor that countered Zhao Feng might have been the one to lose. Apart from these 3 emperors, there was another ideal type of battle power, the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord. However, the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord was on the level of a mystic light realm sacred lord. At the very least, they had to be comparable to a mystic light realm sacred lord in terms of power, intent, and other aspects. However, they hadn't completely become a sacred lord yet. Duke Nanfeng had given Supreme Emperor Dark Knight an unrivaled emperor who was close to a quasi-sacred lord. Of course, this was only a division of combat power and had little to do with cultivation. If that's the case, then Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's strength has almost surpassed the Emperor of Death, Great Emperor Xianluo, and myself. Zhao Feng's eyes flickered. According to the classification of strength, Zhao Feng's strength definitely surpassed the peak martial monarchs. He could be considered an unrivaled martial monarch. After all, he was mainly training his sacred lightning body and sacred lightning dominating fist when he was fighting demonic Emperor Xianluo, so he didn't use his eye bloodline. One thing was certain. Zhao Feng's strength hadn't reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord. There was a clear difference in soul, power, and intent. This meant that quasi-sacred lords would be a big threat to Zhao Feng. I'm only half a step away from breaking through, but I'm lucky to be alive. As long as I recover from my injuries, I'll have the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord. Duke Nanfeng sighed. Hearing that, Zhao Feng and the silver-haired elder looked over in surprise. Zhao Feng felt that the aura within Duke Nanfeng's body was half a level higher than an emperor's, and the pressure from his gaze also surpassed peak emperors by half a level. This was because Duke Nanfeng was about to successfully break through, but Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's assassination stopped him and almost killed him. Now that he was alive, as long as he recovered from his injuries and recovered his Yuan Qi, he would be comparable to a quasi-sacred lord. Your Highness will definitely have good fortune after surviving such a disaster. The silver-haired elder and company all congratulated him. Only Duke Nanfeng's expression was slightly dim. He had almost succeeded in breaking through to the mystic light realm, mainly because of the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's origin pollen. However, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly only produced this origin pollen very few times in its life, and there was a gap of at least 100 years between each time. This meant that he might not be able to break through to the mystic light realm next time. Furthermore, there was a weird rule when trying to break through to the mystic light realm. Once the first attempt failed, the chances of success would become lower and lower. Apparently, this was because the process of breaking through to the mystic light realm would use up some of the origin of one's soul. Once one failed, this origin couldn't be recovered. Therefore, any emperor, whether they were normal emperors or peak emperors, would be extremely careful when trying to break through to the mystic light realm. Unless they had no choice or were confident, they wouldn't try it easily. Under such circumstances, peerless treasures that could increase the chances of breaking through to the mystic light realm were extremely rare, and they were enough to make the forces of the Lord dynasties fight over them. Only Zhao Feng noticed the slight change in Duke Nanfeng's expression. I still have 10 portions of the 100 origin sacred honey. It's best if I can keep 3 for my sacred, lightning body, and when I try to break through to the mystic light realm. Zhao Feng thought. As his cultivation increased, he felt the value of the 100 origin sacred honey even more. Back at Xieyang Palace, if it wasn't for the fact that he had the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world, Zhao Feng wouldn't have dared to try and obtain the origin sacred honey. However, it was still extremely dangerous to obtain the 100 origin sacred honey. Within the cultivation chamber, Zhao Feng, the silver-haired elder, and company guarded the Duke for 4 to 5 days. This was the silver-haired old man's suggestion, and it was to guard against Supreme Lord Dark Knight's return. Right now, Duke Nanfeng's injuries hadn't healed yet, and he only had the battle power of a normal emperor, so he needed to be protected. Zhao Feng blamed himself for destroying the Duke's palace to such an extent. Over the last 4 to 5 days, Duke Nanfeng cultivated without any distractions, and his injuries and Yuan Qi recovered quite a bit. During this period of time, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight didn't return. With so many experts gathered together, with Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's principle of killing in one strike, he naturally wouldn't take the risk. Duke, the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly, is about to fully recover. Before leaving, Zhao Feng waved his hand and handed the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly to the silver-haired elder. Meow meow. Within the secret chamber, the little thieving cat and the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly rubbed against each other and reluctantly separated. At this moment, a thought appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. Could he trade the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly? However, thinking about it, why would Duke Nanfeng agree to such a precious 10,000 ancient races spiritual pet that could support Duke Nanfeng's heart? Even if he took out the 100 origin sacred honey, Duke Nanfeng might not agree to it. This was just like how the little thieving cat was in Zhao Feng's heart. This Zhao Feng. Duke Nanfeng looked in the direction that Zhao Feng left in. The Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly in his hand seemed to be very attached to the little thieving cat and Zhao Feng. Duke Nanfeng could also see how attractive the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly was to Zhao Feng. Duke Black Screen Corner is one of the 3 super organizations of the underground world, and they usually stay neutral. Who hired an assassin to kill you? The silver-haired elder couldn't help but ask. One could imagine that this would definitely involve the Imperial Court. Even in the Great Qian Imperial Court, there were many factions, and the competition between the factions was centered around a few princes. Right now, there were only a few princes that had the ability to become the crown prince. Thus, a huge faction was born behind them. Before this, I always stayed neutral. The problem is that the 8th prince visited a few days ago, and some people don't want me to become a mystic light realm sacred lord and affect the balance of the Imperial Court. Duke Nanfeng took a deep breath and furrowed his eyebrows. The factions within the Great Gan Imperials were extremely complicated, and he couldn't think of anything in a short amount of time. Within the Duke's palace, Zhao Feng moved into a new building that had its own garden, and the environment was even better. Within the building, Zhao Feng waved his arm, and a rainbow-colored dumpling appeared in front of him. It was much more tightly bound than before. The rainbow-colored dumpling seemed to be struggling, but it was very weak. Zhao Feng's left, I saw the beautiful female in dark green robes within the dumpling. In reality, if Zhao Feng really wanted to kill her, this female wouldn't have been able to live until now. However, he purposely wanted to leave her alive so that he could scout out the situation of Nine Darkness Palace. This female in dark green robes didn't match the auras of the other 4 peak emperors of Nine Darkness Palace, which was why Zhao Feng chose to leave her alive. Of course, Zhao Feng wouldn't show any mercy to his enemies. Gaze of the God, eye. A surge of purple eye bloodline power surged from Zhao Feng's left eye and formed a bottomless whirlpool. A forbidden surge of Soul Dao power appeared in the air. Not good. Within the rainbow-colored dumpling, by Qing Yue's body shook, and her body went cold. Her soul was covered by a cold power and seemed to be locked down. It wasn't under her control and was about to break free. If she was at her peak, she could still fight back. However, She was heavily injured after the battle, mainly due to the effects of the dream pollen. Her body and soul became weak, and her battle power decreased. In just a breath or two, a female Yuan soul with an extraordinary aura was taken out of her body. No, Bai Qingyue felt that the soul Dao I bloodline power was like the power of a god, and she couldn't resist it. Shua, Bai Qingyue's soul flashed and was sucked into the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye. After entering the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye, Bai Qingyue's soul became even more uncontrollable, and she could be controlled by Zhao Feng. Boom, boom, boom. Zhao Feng circulated some of the power of God Tribulation lightning and attacked Bai Qingyue's soul. Bai Qingyue's soul almost fainted. Dark Heart Seal. A dark purple seal of lightning appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye, and it slowly imprinted itself into the depths of Bai Qingyue's soul, along with the aura of God Tribulation lightning. The reason why he sucked Bai Qingyue's soul into the dimension of his left eye was to increase the success rate of the Dark Heart Seal. After all, the other party was a peak emperor, and her soul intent had reached the peak level. Please don't. Bai Qingyue's consciousness was on the verge of fainting, and she even thought about self-destructing her soul. Unfortunately, her soul seemed to be locked down in the dimension of his left eye, and she couldn't do anything. Several breaths later, Zhao Feng's Dark Heart Seal successfully imprinted itself into the depths of Bai Qingyue's soul. Shua, with a thought, he sent Bai Qingyue's soul back to her body. Half a day later, Master, my name is Bai Qingyue, and I'm the Pavilion Master of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. I'm responsible for 9 Darkness Palace's intelligence missions around the continent. A calm and elegant female in a palace robe half knelt in front of Zhao Feng. Chapter 892. Master, my name is Bai Qingyue, and I'm the Pavilion Master of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. I'm responsible for 9 Darkness Palace's intelligence missions. The female was surrounded by a layer of moonlight, and her aura was pure and holy. She was like a beauty under the moon. She was one of the 5 emperors that had attacked earlier. No one had expected the beautiful woman kneeling on the ground to be a top martial monarch, or even the leader of a 2-star sect. Ocean Smoke Pavilion? Tell me about it. Zhao Feng revealed a surprised and joyful expression. This Bai Qingyue's identity had exceeded his expectations. She was the beautiful pavilion master of a 2-star sect. She was much younger than some emperors, but she had the battle power of a peak emperor. It was obvious that she had great talent and potential. Bai Qingyue had an obedient and respectful expression as she told Zhao Feng about the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Zhao Feng listened quietly and started to form a plan in his heart. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion had existed for tens of thousands of years, but a long time ago, it wasn't a part of the clans. Instead, it was a specialized intelligence agency. Later on, this intelligence organization had been recruiting members in the coastal areas, gradually growing stronger and evolving into a rising 2-star sect. However, they were unlucky. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion had just risen when they met 9 Darkness Palace, who was trying to expand. 9 Darkness Palace was the leading force of the Great Gone Lore dynasty, and it was once a 4-star sect. It wanted to return to its former glory. A few decades ago, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was controlled by 9 Darkness Palace and became one of their subordinate forces. There are almost 10 other subordinate forces like the Ocean Smoke Pavilion in 9 Darkness Palace. Bai Qingyue had a reminiscing expression. In reality, after being forced to become a subordinate force of 9 Darkness Palace, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion had a powerful support in the coastal area and became even stronger. Furthermore, the 10,000 Sacred Clan had fallen, and the Ocean Smoke Pavilion had become stronger and was approaching a peak 2-star sect. Hearing the news, Zhao Feng couldn't help but click his tongue. Being the leading force of the demonic Dao, 9 Darkness Palace was still a powerful force even though they weren't a 4-star sect anymore. And a powerful intelligence agency like this was exactly what Zhao Feng needed. How is your control over the Ocean Smoke Pavilion? Zhao Feng asked. With Bai Qingyue's peak emperor battle power, she would definitely be one of the best in a 2-star sect. 9 Nether Palace's focus is on the central and eastern parts of the continent. Therefore, I control 60 to 70% of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion, and there are also some spies and experts of the 9 Darkness Palace in the pavilion. Bai Qingwei revealed a weird expression as she tried to guess Zhao Feng's intentions. At this point, it wasn't hard to guess Zhao Feng's purpose. As someone who was enslaved by the Dark Heart Seal, Bai Qingyue's mind was enslaved and she had to obey it. I want you to return to the Ocean Smoke Pavilion and clean up the tumor of 9 Darkness Palace. From now on, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion will focus on me and serve me, Zhao Feng said indifferently. At this moment, the plan in his heart became clearer. From the beginning of his cultivation until now, Zhao Feng had basically been fighting alone, under the protection of powerful forces. When he was cultivating, Zhao Feng was a disciple of the Zhao family in Sun Feather City. After that, he moved to the Guanjuan Palace and joined the Broken Moon clan with the help of Lord Guanjuan. Then, he moved to the Flooding Lake City, Iron Blood Religion, Mystic True Sacred Clan. Even now, Zhao Feng was also a part of the Duke's Palace. Due to Duke Nanfeng's special identity, normal forces didn't dare to attack Zhao Feng openly. I can't easily go to the Duanmu family. Furthermore, I've already sent a letter to the Duanmu family, and Yufei knows about me. Zhao Feng's eyes were calm. For a long time, he was either being chased or under other forces. But now, he wanted to change his way of thinking and create his own superpower. I want this force to spread across the world and rule the world. In the future, no one will be able to threaten anything related to me. The desire in Zhao Feng's heart became stronger and stronger. Creating a force of his own would be extremely useful. For example, plundering the world's resources and exploring ruins and secret realms could mobilize a vast amount of manpower. Yes, Master. I'll do my best to fulfill your request. However, I can't guarantee that there won't be any resistance in the process. Bai Qingwei said carefully. Through the Dark Heart Seal, she could sense Zhao Feng's ambition. I'll go with you to the Ocean Smoke Pavilion and get rid of all the problems. Although 9 Darkness Palace is strong, they won't be able to send too many forces to interfere with the ocean. Zhao Feng was extremely confident. The ocean he was in wasn't the core of the Lord Dynasty. In other words, it wasn't. Zhao Feng hadn't even stepped into the inner regions of the continent yet. Hearing that, Bai Qingwei relaxed a lot. With Zhao Feng as a deterrent, as long as Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lords didn't appear, no force would be able to threaten the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Zhao Feng didn't immediately go to the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Instead, he cultivated for a while in the Duke's Palace. Firstly, Bai Qingwei and Duke Nanfeng's injuries hadn't healed yet. Secondly, Zhao Feng had gained some insights from the battle and needed to consolidate them. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. Within a secret room of the building, Zhao Feng suddenly opened his eyes, and the divine light in his eyes gave off the feeling that 10,000 bolts of lightning were exploding. More than 1,000 symbols of God Tribulation lightning appeared in his purple soul sea. More accurately speaking, there were more than 1,300. These symbols of God Tribulation lightning gave off an undying aura that countered everything in existence. Very good. The amount of God Tribulation lightning is more than half of what it was in my previous life, and my control over this power is better. A faint smile formed on Zhao Feng's face. Of course, what Zhao Feng absorbed was just the remnant aura of the God Tribulation lightning and comprehended it. Compared to true God Tribulation lightning, these were just small particles, and the total amount might not even be 1% of the God Tribulation lightning. After all, the God Tribulation head was just a vessel that had been stored for many years. It was already a miracle that Zhao Feng's soul could absorb the God Tribulation lightning. At this moment in time, the God Tribulation head next to the Purple Soul Sea still had around 50% of the God Tribulation lightning left. Now, Zhao Feng didn't just need to absorb the God Tribulation lightning. He also needed to comprehend and increase the recovery speed of the God Tribulation lightning. He even needed to reach a level where he could condense God Tribulation lightning on his own. After half a month of cultivation, Zhao Feng finally came out of seclusion. At this moment, Duke Nanfeng's injuries had mostly recovered. Although he had failed to break through to the mystic light realm, his strength was more than twice as strong as before. After bidding farewell, Zhao Feng flew into the air. Strange, what business does this Zhao Feng have that requires him to leave? Is he not scared of 9 Darkness Palace chasing after him? Duke Nanfeng was slightly surprised. However, thinking about it, with Zhao Feng's strength, as long as he didn't meet a mystic light realm sacred lord, he shouldn't be in any danger. A while later, Zhao Feng flew out of the Tianfeng Great Island Zone and entered the limitless ocean. Shua! Zhao Feng raised his hand and let Bai Qingyue come out of the misty spatial world. At the same time, he took out the flaming chariot that he had obtained from the divine illusion dimension. The flaming chariot speed was even faster in an environment like the limitless ocean. With the substandard god crystals, it could reach the speed of an emperor. Most importantly, this chariot didn't need any true yuan, and it was very stable. It could also form a protective barrier. Bai Qingyue stood on the chariot and controlled it. She had a look of amazement on her face. She had stayed in Zhao Feng's misty spatial world for a while and was stunned. She didn't expect Zhao Feng to have a substandard god weapon and have so many resources. Maybe the resources that she had seen were only a portion of what Zhao Feng had. If I can take out a portion of these resources, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion will be able to expand quickly and even have the potential to rule the entire ocean. Bai Qingyue took a deep breath. Although she had been enslaved by Zhao Feng, she still had her own thoughts. She was just controlled by Zhao Feng. The Dark Heart Seal had become more and more perfect after several modifications. Of course, in order to unleash such a perfect Dark Heart Seal, one had to use the god's spiritual eye as a medium. Normal secret techniques couldn't do it, or one would have to pay a huge price. On the way, Zhao Feng was still sitting down and cultivating, and he let Bai Qingyue lead the way. The ocean was connected to the Nanlin Sea, Shiwu Sea, Dongchuan Sea, and other limitless ocean zones. It was extremely big. With the flaming chariot speed, it would take half a month to get there. During this half a month, Zhao Feng circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique and multitasked. He had always been cultivating the 5 elemental wind lightning technique. On a certain day, Zhao Feng's wood of wind lightning reached the peak of the 7th level. Next would be the fire of wind lightning, which was a powerful offensive fire lightning. The fire of wind lightning that Zhao Feng cultivated in his previous life had greatly improved, and it had even surpassed the wind lightning emperor. The 7th level of the wood of wind lightning corresponds to the void god realm. From the 8th level onwards, the fire of wind lightning should be the transition from emperor to quasi-sacred lord and mystic light realm. Zhao Feng could clearly feel that his wood of wind lightning had reached a limit. Several more days passed. Zhao Feng's aura rose once more, and it started to increase slightly. Middle stage, void god realm. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Breaking through to the middle stage, void god realm, at this point in time, was within expectations. At this rate, he would become a complete great emperor in half a year's time. In his previous life in the Tsang Ocean, Zhao Feng's cultivation stopped at the middle stage void god realm. Now, Zhao Feng's cultivation had recovered to the middle stage void god realm, and it could be said that he had completely surpassed his previous life. In terms of cultivation, Zhao Feng's technique was stronger and more comprehensive. Zhao Feng's biggest trump card, the power of the God Tribulation Lightning, had also surpassed his previous life in terms of power. After being refined by the God Tribulation Lightning, his soul was on par with his previous life, and it was even more condensed than his previous life. As for Emperor Intent, because it contained even more God Tribulation Lightning, it had also surpassed his previous life. The only thing that hadn't improved was the God's spiritual eye. It was regretful that the God's spiritual I hadn't evolved after so long. According to his past experience, Zhao Feng felt that he was getting closer to the next evolution of the god's spiritual eye. Master, we're almost at the ocean smoke pavilion. A soft voice sounded next his ear. The speed of the flaming chariot was decreasing. Are we there? Zhao Feng took a deep breath and looked at the misty island in front of him. It was much bigger than the azure flower continent. At this moment, he was hopeful and even a little nervous. Whether or not he could achieve his goal of dominating the border would depend on the first step that he was about to take. Chapter 893. The island that the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was located in was called the Misty Moon Island Zone. The location of this island zone was extremely unique. There were basically no island groups nearby, and it was located in a very isolated area. Although the Misty Moon Island Zone wasn't as strong as the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, it was rich in resources and had a good environment. It was more than twice the size of the Azure Flower Continent. Apart from that, there were more than a dozen mini-zones that were similar to the 8 desolate mountains scattered around the Misty Moon Island Zone. All of these zones were under the absolute control of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. After all, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was a peak 2-star force, and they had the support of 9 Darkness Palace. The advantage of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion lies in the fact that there aren't any strong opponents nearby. It's a good place to rest and develop. Bai Qingwei smiled faintly. With abundant resources and no powerful enemies nearby, any force could slowly accumulate and grow its strength as long as it didn't make any major mistakes. This kind of location is a bit too safe and lacks the competition that should be there. However, it's more than enough to be the starting point of dominating the ocean. Zhao Feng was satisfied with the overall situation. Ever since he was young, he had been in an environment filled with intense competition. This was one of the reasons why he was able to improve so quickly. Master's words are reasonable. Bai Qingwen nodded her head and smiled, but she didn't completely agree. However, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion is half an intelligence agency, and its members are often out in the ocean. The strong survive, and the weak are eliminated. Only the elites remain. Hearing this, Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. Although Bai Qingyue, who had the Dark Heart seal, would obey him unconditionally, her thoughts were independent. She would have her own thoughts and opinions, and she wasn't a complete puppet. From the looks of it, the Dark Heart seal had exceeded Zhao Feng's expectations in some aspects as he perfected it. His original goal in improving the Dark Heart seal was to preserve the potential of the target he enslaved. However, in order to preserve their potential, they had to have a certain degree of independence and not be a puppet. Whoosh, whoosh. Zhao Feng and Bai Qingyue sat on the flaming chariot and quickly entered the Misty Moon Island Zone. As the sole overlord of the Misty Moon Island Zone, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was located in a holy land that was like a paradise. Above the Water Bay's sacred land was a misty array, and one could faintly see buildings that were close to the size of the 10,000 Sacred Clan. This is just the headquarters of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. It's similar to the layout of a sect. The real information network is distributed in every corner of the sea. The training grounds are in the nearby mini-domains by Qingwei introduced. Zhao Feng understood that the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was half sect and half intelligence agency. The headquarters of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion of the Baywater Sacred Land was similar to the 10,000 Sacred Clan in that they provided an endless supply of disciples. Then, according to the strength, potential, talent, and other characteristics of the disciples, they would be sent to the surrounding mini-domains to undergo special training. Such a model was rare in the Great Qian Dynasty and even the coastal areas. The two of them entered the Ocean Smoke Pavilion under the Mist Array formation, and they occasionally encountered some sect members along the way. Greetings, Pavilion Master. Those that greeted them were at least at the Great Origin Core Realm. Curiosity flashed through their eyes when they saw Zhao Feng next to Bai Qingyue, but they didn't ask anything. Not long after, Bai Qingyue brought Zhao Feng to an elegant palace next to the lake. This palace was quiet, and it was at the center of the Baywater Sacred Land. This was Bai Qingyue's palace. Master, you can live here. Is there anything you're not satisfied with? Bai Qingyue asked respectfully. It's not bad. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised that Bai Qingyue had arranged for him to live at her own place. Zhao Feng could faintly feel that the dark heart seal had changed slightly after being perfected a few times. He decided to stay in Bai Qingyue's palace and observe for a while. Master, you're back. Right at this moment, a young girl in a dark green dress floated in from outside the mansion. She was around the age of 17 or 18, and her delicate and picturesque face gave off a fresh and pure feeling like a white lotus. Even Zhao Feng, who was used to seeing beauties, felt a faint sense of surprise. This made him think of Zhao Yufei and Lu Qinxin, who he didn't know where she was. Zhao Feng's gaze landed on the girl in the green dress, and he gave off the illusion that he was obsessed with her beauty. However, the girl in the green dress was used to this, and she felt disdain in her heart. However, she was a little curious. Her master had always been dignified and noble. She had never taken in any men in her own mansion. Jie, greet Senior Zhao. Bai Qingyue quickly spoke and gave the girl in the green dress a look. Zhao Feng's gaze landed on the girl in the green dress. She also saw the temporary obsession and started to worry. Senior Zhao. A trace of surprise appeared on the young girl's pure and beautiful face, revealing a strong sense of doubt and disbelief. However, she couldn't go against the master's orders, so she unwillingly bowed toward Zhao Feng. Disciple Zhang Jie greets Senior Zhao. Zhao Feng inspected Zhang Jie. This girl was about the same age as Zhao Yufei, but she seemed to have just broken through to the Void God realm. Her talent and potential were shocking. This disciple of mine came out of the divine illusion dimension 4 or 5 months ago. Her luck was pretty good, and she just broke through to the Void God realm. However, compared to Master, the difference is like the clouds and mud. Bai Qingyue smiled and explained. During this process, she looked at Zhao Feng's expression toward Zhang Jie and changed the way she addressed him from master to master. Zhao Feng didn't want his ability to enslave beings to be exposed so early. Say, master? However, even then, Zhang Jie's face was filled with shock, and her mouth was wide open. She was the #1 beauty of a younger generation in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion, and her talents surpassed those of the same generation. However, in her master's eyes, she couldn't be compared to this youth. Could this youth be from Nine Darkness Palace? But what kind of identity does he have for master to address him like this? Zhang Jie's thoughts spun. However, she couldn't understand. Her master was a peak emperor and the leader of a 2-star sect. Even if he was a prince of the Great Gonlor dynasty, he shouldn't be addressed like this. May I ask for Senior's name? Zhang Jie finally stopped underestimating Zhao Feng. The purple-haired youth in front of her seemed to be shrouded in a thick fog. She became more and more curious. What was this youth's true identity? Zhao Feng didn't answer her question. He suddenly thought of something and said to Bai Qingyue, "Let's not waste any more time and act quickly. Otherwise, those bastards from Nine Darkness Palace will find out who I am and run away." Qingyue was careless. Bai Qingyue revealed an anxious and guilty expression. The news of Zhao Feng killing several peak emperors and forcing demonic Emperor Xianluo to retreat with his identity as the left-eyed heavenly lord wouldn't be a big secret anymore. Bai Qingyue immediately gave out orders. "Pass down my order. Lock down the entire pavilion. Only people can enter, but not leave. Anyone who disobeys will be killed." Bai Qingyue's first order was to lock down the headquarters of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. This order was quickly carried out. As the only peak emperor in the sect, Bai Qingyue's control over the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was extremely strong. Bai Qingyue looked down from the sky and personally guarded the entire sect. Shua, some of the upper echelon at the Void God realm within the water-based sacred land were also alerted. Many people appeared and flew into the air to meet up with Bai Qingyue. "Pavilion Master, what happened? Why are you locking down the entire pavilion? This hasn't happened in dozens of years in the Water Bay sacred land." The upper echelon of the clan asked and discussed. Bai Qingyue didn't reply. She waited for the entire sect to be locked down. Then, she gave out a second order and gathered the upper echelon of the pavilion. All half-step void god realms and above are to gather at the Ocean Sky Palace. Bai Qingyue's orders were carried out one by one. Due to some unknown reason, no one disobeyed her orders. However, a tense atmosphere spread across the entire Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Zhang Jie realized that these orders and the tense atmosphere were definitely related to the mysterious purple-haired youth. Not long later, the upper echelon of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion gathered at the Ocean Sky Palace. Bai Qingyue sat in the middle of the hall. What was different from before was that there was a purple-haired youth leaning against the wall in the corner behind her. The youth leaned against the corner and looked lazy. He was completely out of place with the tense atmosphere of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Many of the upper echelon of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion looked curiously at the mysterious youth behind Bai Qingyue. A small number of people stared at the purple-haired youth with shock and confusion. There were 8 or 9 void god realm experts from the Ocean Smoke Pavilion present, but not all of them were present. Some were scattered around the ocean. However, there were 3 violent, demonic, Tao auras among the upper echelon of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. These 3 demonic, Tao auras came from an emperor and 2 void god realm kings. Bai Qingyue, why did you gather so many people? The demonic Tao emperor harumphed coldly, and a surge of demonic Tao magnificent power caused the entire Ocean Sky Palace to tremble. Others respected Bai Qingyue's strength and status, but this demonic Tao emperor didn't respect her at all. This was because he was an emperor sent by 9 Darkness Palace to guard a subordinate force. In other words, this demonic Tao emperor was here to supervise subordinate forces like the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. From today onwards, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion will be independent and leave 9 Darkness Palace. Bai Qingyue didn't bother with this demonic Tao emperor and announced her words to the entire Ocean Smoke Pavilion. The entire Ocean Smoke Pavilion instantly became deathly silent. Some of the members of 9 Darkness Palace roared in anger and started to cause some noise. Bai Qingyue, how dare you betray 9 Darkness Palace? You want to drag the Ocean Smoke Pavilion into the abyss of death. The Emperor of the Demonic Tao and the experts of 9 Darkness Palace roared. Apart from them, there were also some that were close to 9 Darkness Palace that started to criticize Bai Qingyue. Bai Qingyue and Zhao Feng looked at each other. The two of them memorized the voices of those that opposed them. The owners of these voices were either members of 9 Darkness Palace or were close to 9 Darkness Palace. Master dares to make such a decision. Is she not afraid of 9 Darkness Palace? Zhang Jie, who was wearing a long green dress, was dazed. How could Bai Qingyue not know the consequences of betraying 9 Darkness Palace? What is Bai Qingyue relying on to make such a decision? The cold eyes of the demonic Tao Emperor from 9 Darkness Palace couldn't help but glance toward the purple-haired youth in the corner of the hall that hadn't spoken yet. For some reason, this youth gave them a familiar feeling, even if they had never met before. Chapter 894. Who is that mysterious youth? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity? He seems to be someone from the intelligence reports. It wasn't just the demonic Tao emperors from 9 Darkness Palace. Even the upper echelon of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion stared at Zhao Feng. The sudden change in Bai Qingyue's return was most likely related to this youth. Purple-haired youth? Such a young void god realm king. The target of 9 Darkness Palace and the Pavilion Master seems to be... Could it be him? The hearts of a small number of the upper echelon shook. A small number of the upper echelon with information guessed Zhao Feng's identity, but they weren't sure. Could it be him? The expressions of the Emperor of the Demonic Tao and the 2 kings of the Demonic Tao from 9 Darkness Palace changed. It was just a guess, but the foreheads of the 3 people immediately broke out in cold sweat. Only a small number of people around the ocean knew that demonic Emperor Xian Luo had been defeated. Him? Who is it? The change in the expressions of the upper echelon fell into Zhang Jian's eyes. Surprise flashed through her eyes. She suddenly realized that this purple-haired youth was similar to a certain genius on the Great Gone Imperial Genius rankings. That genius was also young and had purple hair, and he had become famous in the divine illusion dimension. However, if it was just this genius alone, Master wouldn't have been able to make such a big change and make the expressions of the demonic Tao Emperors from Nine Darkness Palace so nervous. Of course, Jean Gier hadn't contacted the Ocean Smoke Pavilion's intelligence agency, so she didn't know anything about the left-eyed Heavenly Emperor. Your Zhao Feng? The expression of the demonic Tao Emperor changed as he stared at the purple-haired youth in the corner. The two kings of the demonic Tao beside him also had wary expressions. Zhao Feng, it really is him? Jean Gier's heart jumped. After becoming famous in the divine illusion dimension, he's currently ranked 8th on the Great Gone Imperial Genius rankings. Apparently, this ranking is based on his strength. Jean Gier was also a genius that had come from the divine illusion dimension. However, she hadn't entered Xieyang Palace. She had obtained many things in the other areas of the divine illusion dimension. After coming out of the divine illusion dimension, she was shocked when she heard about the battle at Xieyang Palace. In comparison, the dangers and fortune she had encountered weren't even worth mentioning. When it came to Xieyang Palace, no one could forget about the purple-haired demonic duo. Apparently, the purple-haired demonic duo was the biggest winner of Xieyang Palace. What Jean Gier didn't know was that Zhao Feng was no longer the new Zhao Feng who used to be the left-eyed Heavenly Lord. At this moment, she took a deep breath and carefully looked at the corner, at the mysterious young man who was only limited to the rumors. That's right, I'm Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng was calm and composed. Only then did he perk up and sized up the 3 virtual God realm powerhouses from Abysmal Palace. To be honest, the only great emperor among the 3 Nihility God realm experts was not even a peak great emperor. Zhao Feng did not find it interesting at all. Left-eyed Heavenly Lord Zhao Feng. Run. The 3 demonic Tao martial emperors paled in fright. Without a second thought, they flew out of the hall. Such a panicked reaction stunned most of the upper echelon members within the hall. What's going on? Jean Gier, it was dazed. It seemed that this young man had only said his name, and it had scared the wits out of the 3 demonic Tao martial emperors. You want to run? Bai Qingwei snickered coldly and was about to attack. Let me do it. The purple-haired young man in the corner suddenly spoke. Bai Qingwei and the other upper echelon members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion were confident that they could kill the 3 from Abysmal Palace, but it wouldn't be easy. Furthermore, after this battle, this mountain gate would also be destroyed. As soon as he finished speaking, a shocking divine light shot out from Zhao Feng's eyes, and 10,000 bolts of lightning seemed to crackle in the soul dimension. Boom! Boom! The divine light turned into 2 transparent bolts of purple dark soul lightning that instantly stabbed into the souls of 2 kings of the demonic Tao. Art! 2 screams sounded in the soul dimension. The upper echelon members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion instantly felt the aura of 2 King Yuan souls dying. Some people's divine senses even captured the moment when the souls of the 2 demonic Path Kings were annihilated. Plop! Plop! The undamaged corpses of the 2 kings fell from the sky. However, their souls had already been destroyed, so they were dead for sure. SII. The upper echelon members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion all took in cold breaths. Jean Gier felt a coldness spread from the bottom of her feet to her entire body, and she hiccuped. The 2 kings of the demonic Tao were both experienced kings, and one of them was a peak-tier king. However, they weren't even able to take a single blow from Zhao Feng. He had instantly killed 2 void God Realm kings with just 1 gaze. Terrifying, the demonic Tao Emperor's face was gray, and he was scared out of his wits. Zhao Feng's gaze landed on the demonic Tao Emperor after killing the 2 kings with his Emperor intent. Whoosh! The demonic Tao Emperor's speed was extremely fast, and he instantly charged out of the hall. The upper echelon members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion couldn't help but worry. The one that escaped was an emperor of the demonic Tao, and even Zhao Feng didn't have any intentions of chasing after him. Gaze of the gods! I. Zhao Feng opened his left eye, and a surge of purple eye bloodline power formed a bottomless whirlpool that extended endlessly. The demonic Tao Emperor had only just escaped for a short distance when he felt a forbidden soul Tao aura appear in the air. Inside the hall, the purple-haired youth's left eye had locked onto him. Don't! The demonic Tao Emperor's soul fell into endless coldness. It was as if it had been shackled, and it was extremely helpless. Even though he tried his best to struggle, his soul was still slowly leaving his body. Well, what kind of technique is this? This forbidden eye bloodline technique is similar to the signature technique of the ancient Emperor of Death from the Tsang Ocean. The upper echelon members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion were speechless. After reaching the level of a king, they could clearly feel that the demonic Tao Emperor's soul was leaving his body. Boom! An immortal and undying god tribulation lightning suddenly struck down, making the demonic Tao Emperor's soul dizzy, and the strength of his soul's struggle decreased. A cold smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Shua! The next instant, the demonic Tao Emperor's soul left his body and flew through the air. In the end, his soul turned into a small black dot and was sucked into the purple whirlpool in Zhao Feng's left eye. Plop! On the other side, the demonic Tao Emperor's body fell from the air. At the same time, the soul of an emperor appeared in the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye, and it was currently sealed. At this moment, the entire hall was dead silent. The upper echelon members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion all trembled as they looked at the nightmarish youth. "Thank you, Grand Elder." Bai Qinghua let out a long breath and said respectfully. Being the one being enslaved, she felt that this youth was even more terrifying. Back at the Duke's palace, when Zhao Feng fought against several peak emperors, he mainly relied on strategy. He didn't even use his true eye bloodline. My soul, has absorbed a few hundred God Tribulation symbols. As long as I circulate the God Tribulation lightning and use my Emperor intent, even peak emperors won't be able to last more than a few breaths. Zhao Feng slowly opened his eyes. The soul of the demonic Tao Great Emperor in the purple soul was already screaming miserably. "Greetings, Grand Elder." At this moment, the upper echelon of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion bowed. "Grand Elder?" Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he looked deeply at Bai Qinghua. He originally wanted to control the Ocean Smoke Pavilion from behind the scenes and not hold a position in the clan. However, the position of Grand Elder was obviously Bai Qinghua's own idea. She might have some selfish motives and wanted to tie Zhao Feng to the Purple Smoke Pavilion. After all, Zhao Feng had killed so many experts from Nine Darkness Palace and made the Ocean Smoke Pavilion betray him. If they didn't do anything about it, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion would be destroyed. Fine, I'll temporarily assume the position of Grand Elder, but you'll still have full authority to manage the trivial matters of the sect. Zhao Feng sighed. The position of the Grand Elder was above that of the Pavilion Master and the Sect Master. This meant that Zhao Feng had become the person with the highest status in this two-star power. Meow meow. Right at this moment, the little thieving cat used the dark golden dragon snake whip to wrap around the corpse of the demonic Tao Emperor and came over. Shua! Zhao Feng waved his hand and put the corpse of the demonic Tao Emperor into the misty spatial world. For the next half a month, the entire Ocean Smoke Pavilion started a cleanup. Some of the experts or spies that Nine Darkness Palace had planted were all killed. Zhao Feng never showed himself again and stayed in the palace of the beautiful Pavilion Master, Bai Qinghua. What Zhao Feng didn't know was that his relationship with Bai Qinghua had raised the suspicions of some people in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. This was because he was the first male to move into Bai Qinghua's palace. On this day, Zhao Feng came out of seclusion and accepted Bai Qinghua's invitation to learn about the core structure of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion so that he could make decisions in the future. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion's strength and potential aren't bad, but it's far from enough to rule the oceans. Zhao Feng started to think as he looked forward. Just at this moment, a beautiful and refined young girl entered his field of vision. "Grand Elder Master." Zhang Jie, who bowed respectfully and didn't dare to look directly at Zhao Feng's eyes. Zhang Jie felt uneasy when she thought about how infatuated Zhao Feng was with her. Bai Qingyue also remembered the scene from that day. She was slightly worried that Zhao Feng would attack her pure and flawless disciple. If Zhao Feng really wanted to stretch his claws toward Zhang Jie, no one in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion would be able to stop him. She couldn't go against Zhao Feng's will. Jie is a good seed. You can raise her in the future, Zhao Feng said casually. Hearing that, Bai Qingyue's heart jumped. She thought that Zhao Feng really wanted Zhang Jie. Luckily, Zhao Feng hadn't said anything yet, and he didn't make any excessive requests. On the same night, Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged and inspected the situation within the misty spatial world. Within the misty spatial world, the demonic Tao Emperor had recovered and became another one of Zhao Feng's slaves. Zhao Feng planned to let the Ocean Smoke Pavilion take care of this demonic Tao Emperor. Master, a gentle voice came from outside the door. Come in. Zhao Feng revealed a weird expression as he looked at Bai Qingyue, who was standing at the door. Tonight, Bai Qingyue was wearing a snow-white robe. She looked dignified and had a holy aura that was as tranquil as the moonlight. At this moment, Bai Qingyue was like an inviolable goddess of moonlight. What is it? Zhao Feng felt that something was weird, but he didn't hide his admiration for Bai Qingyue's beauty. Creak. Bai Qingyue closed the door and gritted her teeth. Qingyue has a request. I hope that master won't touch Jie. If you have any requests, I, as her master, will be able to do them. After she finished speaking, this beauty under the moonlight, who had always been dignified and cold, lightly untied her clothes, revealing a snow-white, jade-like skin that caused one's blood to spurt out. Especially the slender legs under the plain robe. They were like snow lotus roots, faintly discernible. Whoosh! Wen Hongyin's snow-white shoulders and her breasts were revealed one by one. Even her snow-white skirt had slid down to her thighs. That beautiful scene was enough to make any man go crazy. Chapter 895. Qingyue is willing to satisfy all of Master's requests. I only hope that you can let Jie go. She was like a moonlight goddess. Her snow-white robe was slowly undone, revealing a large portion of her snow-white jade-like skin, making one's blood boil. This sudden turn of events caused Zhao Feng to freeze for a moment. At this moment in time, Bai Qingyue, who was always pure and calm, had a hint of red on her face. She opened her mouth with a pleading tone. Her snow-white shoulders gently trembled, and her snow-white skin blushed. Under the pure white corset, her full, sparkling breasts were like fruits that emitted an alluring and fragrant aroma, as if they were about to burst out. In particular, when the snow-white skirt slid down, the pair of slender, jade-like legs could captivate one's soul. The charming scene under the skirt was enough to make one go crazy. Such an exciting scene was enough to make any man burn with lust and lose control of himself. Even with Zhao Feng's mental fortitude, his mouth went dry, and a fiery aura spread from his lower abdomen. His body had an instinctive urge to push that dignified and holy woman to the ground and ravage her. This was the physiological reaction that a normal man should have. However, Zhao Feng's eyes were clear and calm. The instinctive heat of his body and the calmness of his mental energy created a clash between ice and fire. Ever since he merged with the god's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng's mental energy had become so strong that he could completely control his body and suppress all external desires. Only a heart that pursued power would never stop. You're indeed very beautiful. A faint smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face as he raised Bai Qingyue's beautiful face. His eyes didn't conceal anything as he sized up this alluring body. Bai Qingyue's body froze, and she closed her eyes. Her eyelashes trembled, and her face that was as calm as the moon became red. 2 streams of tears flowed down her face, making her look extremely beautiful. However, This would undoubtedly make any man's lust even more intense. However, she closed her eyes and waited for a long time, but the youth in front of her didn't react at all. Bam! The plain robe she was wearing was suddenly covered by a pair of strong and masculine hands. Master, you! Bai Qingwei opened her eyes and looked at the youth in front of her in disbelief. He knew very well how charming her beauty was. Ever since she was a young disciple, there had been no lack of suitors. However, due to her temperament and cultivation method, she had always been aloof and had few desires. Even now, she was still a virgin. She never thought that this young man would be able to resist her seduction. It was unimaginable how much willpower and determination was required to achieve this. I can't agree to your request. Zhao Feng shook his head. Hearing this, Bai Qingyue's body shook, and her expression changed dramatically. Could it be that Zhao Feng really liked Zhang Jie and refused to agree to her request? But she could not figure it out. Although Zhang Jie had a pure charm, she was still a distance away from her peerless beauty. What? Bai Qingwei could not help but ask. Zhao Feng calmly said, "You are my maid. If I need anything, you cannot disobey me. I can give it to you." Bai Qingyue's face was pale, and she didn't know what to say. Indeed, under the effect of the dark heart seal, she could not disobey Zhao Feng at all. If she disobeyed him, her soul would be destroyed. If you truly like Jie, then, Bai Qingyue bit her lips and could only go for the next best thing. "I'm sorry, but I have no interest in Zhang Jie." The youth's emotionless voice stopped her. Hearing up to there, Bai Qingyue's expression became one of shock. She suddenly realized that she had misunderstood Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng did not hide his admiration for beautiful women, but that did not mean that Zhao Feng had any improper thoughts about them. He had a fiancée whose whereabouts were unknown, and his relationship with Zhao Yufei had not been cleared up yet. Zhao Feng didn't want to cause more trouble and create more emotional debts. That was all. "I misjudged, Master." Bai Qingyue lowered her head shyly. She tidied up her clothes and prepared to leave immediately. At this moment, she wanted to find a hole in the ground to hide in. She was famed for her calmness, but she had thrown herself at a man only to be rejected. "Wait." Zhao Feng suddenly spoke and told Bai Qingyue to stay for now. Just as Bai Qingyue was hesitating, Shua, Zhao Feng waved his hand, and the demonic Tao Emperor from before appeared in the building. "Greetings, Master." The demonic Tao Emperor from Nine Darkness Palace said respectfully. This demonic Tao Emperor was also under the control of Zhao Feng's Dark Heart Seal and had to obey him. Zhao Feng's plan was to keep this demonic Tao Emperor in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion and give Bai Qingyue more manpower. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion had two emperors. Apart from Bai Qingyue, there was another one outside. Adding on the one from Nine Darkness Palace, there were three emperors. "I will leave for a while. If anything happens, we can sense each other through the Dark Heart Seal, even if we are far away." Zhao Feng continued. The connection between the Dark Heart Seal was extremely strong. It was similar to a spiritual pet and its master. Within a certain distance, they could easily send messages. If the distance was too far, Zhao Feng could still feel the call from the other side. "Master, you killed several emperors from Nine Darkness Palace. Demonic Emperor Xian Luo might send even stronger mystic light realm sacred lords after he returns." Bai Qingyue said worriedly. The demonic Tao Emperor also nodded his head. Nine Darkness Palace won't give up on this area easily, especially the benefits that Master brought out of Xieyang Palace. Not only Nine Darkness Palace, but other forces might also secretly take action against Master. Hearing that, Zhao Feng started to think. In reality, he had thought about this a long time ago. If it was in the past, he could just run away from a mystic light realm sacred lord. However, he needed to create his own force now, so he couldn't do that anymore. Nine Darkness Palace sending a mystic light realm sacred lord to deal with me is probably their limit. Zhao Feng's expression was the same. The strongest person in a 3-star power was usually a mystic light realm sacred lord or even a demigod. Even a sacred lord can easily destroy forces like the Ocean Smoke Pavilion and the 10,000 Sacred Clan. Bai Qingwei gave a bitter smile. She couldn't say it as easily as Zhao Feng did. It was just a mystic light realm sacred lord. Indeed, Nine Darkness Palace could only send one mystic light realm sacred lord at most to organize the forces around the ocean and deal with Zhao Feng. However, once a mystic light realm sacred lord came out of seclusion and interfered with the world, they would usually be invincible and suppress everything. Countless experts, including legendary emperors, would run away. I have my own ways to deal with this. Zhao Feng wasn't very worried. He paused for a moment before continuing. On the other hand, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion needs to expand their intelligence network. The first step is to cover the entire ocean, and the second step is to infiltrate the continent zone. Master, part of our intelligence network has already infiltrated the continent zone, but that's just the outer regions. We need more resources and a stronger force to expand further. Bai Qingyue had a troubled expression. I will provide the resources and manpower. From now on, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion will be in charge of intelligence. Zhao Feng had a calm expression as he gave the Ocean Smoke Pavilion a direction. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion was currently a half-sect and half-intelligence force. If they focused on intelligence, they would be able to develop even faster. Understood, Master, Bai Qingwei replied. She could faintly feel that Zhao Feng was planning something big. From today onwards, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion would focus on intelligence. However, for any superpower or empire, intelligence wasn't enough. It also needed sufficient military force to deter an empire. A strong deterrent force was the foundation of everything. Zhao Feng would give the Ocean Smoke Pavilion the intelligence network, and he would only support it from behind the scenes. Zhao Feng would personally create a powerful force that could intimidate others with martial power. I'll be leaving for a while. Zhao Feng had pretty much told her everything he needed to know. Shua! Zhao Feng waved the arm guard in his hand, and his figure started to fade as a layer of silver light appeared and disappeared. Spatial travel. Bai Qingyue and the demonic Dao Emperor watched as Zhao Feng teleported away. It was indeed shocking to be able to do this without the help of an array. In the next instant, in the air above the 10,000 sacred clan, Wang Shua, a layer of silver shadow overlapped in the void, and a purple-haired figure appeared, accompanied by a wave of spatial fluctuations. Zhao Feng had left spatial markings in the Duke's Palace, the 10,000 sacred clan, and the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. 10,000 sacred clan. Zhao Feng faintly scanned the mountain below. Then his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. In the depths of the 10,000 sacred clan, near a forbidden ground, meow, a man and a cat appeared in an inconspicuous and quiet courtyard, ignoring the layers of defenses and arrays. There was a shocking pressure around this courtyard that was enough to make Void God Realm Kings suffocate. Not many people in the entire 10,000 sacred clan dared to get close to this place. There wasn't a second figure within 100 miles of this courtyard. At this moment, a layer of orange light screen appeared in the quiet courtyard, giving the illusion that it was covering the sky and the earth. The environment of the nearby area was slightly different from the outside world. Who's there? An old and powerful voice sounded from the depths of the courtyard. Suddenly, a mighty aura that caused all things to tremble surged out from the dilapidated house in the courtyard. The yuan qi in the air seemed to solidify. Old Monster Su. Zhao Feng spoke calmly. He wasn't shocked by the terrifying aura. He had calculated the time to come to the 10,000 sacred clan. Old Monster Su's attempt to break through to the mystic light realm had already passed. Several months ago, when Zhao Feng left the 10,000 sacred clan, he left behind a portion of the 100 Origins sacred honey. Little friend Zhao. The door to the tattered room opened, and an elder with white hair slowly walked out with joy. Compared to several months ago, the aura of decay coming from Old Monster Su had decreased by more than half, and his life force and undulations of power had become much stronger. However, the sliver of expectation in Zhao Feng's eyes faded a little. Sorry to disappoint you, little friend. I'm still half a step away from breaking through to the mystic light realm. It's probably because I've failed in the past and my lifespan has reached its limit that my success rate has decreased. Guilt appeared on old Monster Sue's face. If it was a few decades or even a few hundred years ago, his chances of obtaining the 100 Origin Sacred Honey would have been even higher. Luckily, with the help of the 100 Origin Sacred Honey, old Monster Sue was able to break through to the mystic light realm. His lifespan had increased, and he had reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord. Zhao Feng was slightly disappointed. He was hoping that old Monster Sue would be able to break through to the mystic light realm and help stop the mystic light realm sacred lords from Nine Darkness Palace. Although the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord was not to be underestimated. Little friend Zhao, old Monster Sue had an earnest expression as he begged. My state of existence has reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord. If you can give me another portion of the 100 Origin Sacred Honey, I have at least a 70% chance of breaking through to the mystic light realm. Chapter 896. If you can give me another portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey, I have at least a 70% chance of breaking through to the mystic light realm. Old Monster Sue said sincerely. He didn't realize that Zhao Feng's disappointed face was now slightly grim. Old Monster Sue started a plan in his heart. After all, he had already used the portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey from before. If he failed to break through completely, he had no right to negotiate with Zhao Feng. However, there was something more subtle. He was half a step into the mystic light realm, and his state of existence had reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord. The battle power of a quasi-sacred lord was unparalleled across the entire Tianfeng Great Island Zone. Little friend Zhao, the deal from before still stands. As long as you give me another portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey, and I become a mystic light realm sacred lord, I'll owe you a big favor in the future, and you can order me around 10 times. What do you think? Old Monster Sue promised. He had a smile on his face. He believed that Zhao Feng wouldn't take back half of his investment. Hearing that, Zhao Feng's expression became grim, and he snickered coldly. Damn old fart. Not only did you waste a portion of my 100 Origin Sacred Honey, you're even shamelessly asking for a mile after giving me an inch. Old Monster Sue couldn't help but freeze. He didn't expect for Zhao Feng to turn hostile on the spot and even dare to rebuke him. At this moment in time, a faint light of intent flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes, and it created the sound of thunder in the soul dimension. Old Monster Sue felt a cold, killing intent, and his soul felt pressured, but he didn't put it in his eyes. He had the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord now, and he wasn't scared of Zhao Feng at all. Young man, calm down. My failure to break through is also due to uncontrollable factors. Old Monster Sue squeezed out a smile. Although he wasn't scared of Zhao Feng, he didn't want to have a falling out with him. After all, the 100 Origin Sacred Honey was in Zhao Feng's hands, and he didn't have the confidence to take it by force. Are you sure that I have extra 100 Origin Sacred Honey on me? Darkness appeared on Zhao Feng's face. At this moment, Zhao Feng was indeed unhappy. He was indeed disappointed that old Monster Sue had failed to break through, but he had to admit that he was unlucky. If there was someone to blame, it was Zhao Feng's fault for not thinking things through and investing in the wrong person. Zhao Feng had initially given old Monster Sue a portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey for 2 reasons. Firstly, Zhao Feng felt like he owed the 10,000 Sacred Clan a favor. Secondly, old Monster Sue was close to the end of his lifespan. Zhao Feng felt pity for him. Coincidentally, old Monster Sue was a peak through arch. Later on, Zhao Feng finally understood the rules of breaking through to the mystic light realm. If one failed to break through to the mystic light realm, the chances of succeeding would become lower and lower. That was because every attack would consume some of the life, force, and soul's essence. This lost essence was practically impossible to make up for. Old Monster Sue must have failed more than once. Moreover, his life and lifespan were nearing the end of his lifespan, further reducing the chances of success. From the looks of it, It was completely within reason that old monster Su had failed. He was quite lucky to be able to reach the level of a quasi-sacred lord. Zhao Feng was disappointed by the failure of his investment. However, old monster Su's shameless attitude made Zhao Feng angry, and he wanted to send old monster Su flying with a kick. Old monster Su wasted a portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey, but not only was he not grateful, he even asked Zhao Feng for a second portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey. According to some news, little friend Zhao obtained the most 100 Origin Sacred Honey from Xieyang Palace. Old monster Su had a look that said, "You know what I mean?" Zhao Feng's heart shook, and his eyes twinkled as he soon understood the reason. Back when Xieyang Palace obtained the 100 Origin Sacred Honey, the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion had been there as well. They had all been present when the 100 Origin Sacred Honey was split. Although these two parties were friends and not enemies, paper could not wrap fire. It was not difficult for those who were interested to find out some relevant information. From the looks of it, old monster Su had a hidden force behind him. The foundation of the 10,000 Sacred Clan couldn't be underestimated. Seeing that Zhao Feng didn't deny it, old monster Su had a bright smile on his face. Little friend Zhao is indeed strong. Even the peak emperors of Nine Darkness Palace can't do anything to you. However, apparently, a Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord from Nine Darkness Palace will personally take action. Although he seemed to be praising Zhao Feng, he was feeling very good in his heart. Under the threat of a Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord, old monster Su didn't believe that Zhao Feng didn't need a quasi-sacred lord like him to hand over a second portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey. He wasn't 100% confident in breaking through to the next level, and he might even be able to force Zhao Feng to hand over a third portion. Threatening me with a Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord? Is that what you're relying on? Zhao Feng laughed instead of getting angry as he looked coldly at the confident old monster Su. Indeed, that was why Zhao Feng had left a portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey for old monster Su. However, Zhao Feng wouldn't leave nothing behind and put all his bets on old monster Su. This isn't a threat. You don't need me. Old monster Su's expression didn't change. Zhao Feng's confidence surprised him. Was Zhao Feng not scared of a Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord that might come? Old monster Su, I won't pursue this wasted 100 Origin Sacred Honey. Treat it as a favor to the 10,000 Sacred Clan. But it won't be long before you come and beg me again. Zhao Feng regained his calm. From now on, he didn't owe the 10,000 Sacred Clan anything. You're that confident? Old monster Su's eyebrows raised. He felt uneasy when he thought about this youth. Firstly, you're not the only peak emperor or quasi-sacred lord that needs the 100 Origin Sacred Honey. I can find someone with more potential and sincerity, such as Duke Nanfeng, who's also a quasi-sacred lord. A faint smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Hearing that, old monster Su's expression changed slightly. Zhao Feng could find someone else to work with. He couldn't help but feel slightly regretful. He shouldn't have been so arrogant with the strength of a quasi-sacred lord. Secondly, although your state of existence has reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord and increased your lifespan, your true lifespan and soul won't increase by much. If you can't become a Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord within 10 years, you'll die of old age. If you can't become a Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord within 10 years, you will die of old age. The divine light in Zhao Feng's eyes grew brighter and brighter. He especially emphasized the words died of old age. You actually know, old monster Su's soul started to tremble as the intent in the youth's eyes became stronger and stronger. Old monster Su's heart went cold. He didn't expect the other party's soul intent to be so strong. Unfortunately, his soul was reaching the limit, so it hadn't reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord. In fact, it wasn't even comparable to some unrivaled emperors. Boom, 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 boom. Zhao Feng's purple hair blew in the wind as he opened his left eye, and a dark purple bolt of soul Dao lightning charged into old monster Su's soul. Wang, at this instant, hundreds of symbols of God tribulation lightning within Zhao Feng's purple soul lit up. Arg! Old Monster Su screamed as his face went pale white. His soul was being attacked by the God Tribulation lightning. Those injuries were almost indestructible and difficult to stop. Stop! You! Old Monster Su's body started to shake along with his soul, and he couldn't even stand straight. His face was filled with fear, and he started to beg for mercy. Old Monster Su never would have thought that Zhao Feng's mastery of the Tao of the Soul had reached a level that could threaten sacred lords. This was the first time Zhao Feng had circulated more than 1,000 symbols of God Tribulation lightning at full power. The power of the Tao of the Soul was enough to threaten mystic light, realm, sacred lords. Rumble. Boom. After 2 breaths, Old Monster Su finally couldn't take it anymore and knelt on the ground as he screamed for help. Right now, you only have 3 or 4 years of lifespan left. This will be a lesson for you. Zhao Feng's expression softened. You! Old Monster Su knelt on the ground, and his eyes were filled with regret and fear. He wanted a foot after being given an inch, and he was even trying to force Zhao Feng into a corner, making Zhao Feng extremely unhappy. Zhao Feng didn't care about the 100 Origin Sacred Honey, but he didn't know Old Monster Su anything now, so he decided to teach him a lesson. Grand Elder. Old Monster Su's cry for help had alerted the other upper echelon members of the clan, such as Emperor Ling Qiong. Whoosh! When they arrived, there was only a layer of gradually transparent silvery shadow left, and it quickly disappeared. Grand Elder, what's wrong? That figure just now seemed to look like Zhao Feng. Great Emperor Ling Qiong and the others rushed to the scene and helped Old Monster Su up. Old Monster Su was in a ruffled state, and he almost fainted. It's all my fault for being shameless and making Zhao Feng unhappy. I'll go visit him when the time is right. Old Monster Su smiled bitterly. He desperately wanted to work with Zhao Feng, but he was afraid that Zhao Feng wouldn't take out a second portion of the Sacred Origin honey, which was why he used such a shameless trick. What does Zhao Feng think the 10,000 Sacred Clan is? He thinks he can come and go as he pleases. Apart from being shocked, Great Emperor Ling Qiong and the others felt helpless. Zhao Feng had left a spatial mark in the 10,000 Sacred Clan, so he could use the misty spatial world to come whenever he wanted. On the other side, Zhao Feng's figure appeared in the Duke's palace. The place where he appeared was the garden he was staying in before. Zhao Feng. In the depths of the Duke's palace, Duke Nanfeng sensed something and couldn't help but exclaim, "Duke, sorry for disturbing you." Zhao Feng greeted Duke Nanfeng before entering seclusion. The reason why he stayed in the Duke's palace was because he had 2 goals. Zhao Feng was waiting for someone. There was more than one person he was waiting for, and they might not even come. If they didn't come, he would cultivate until he reached the Void God realm, even though that wasn't realistic. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month passed. On this day, Zhao Feng entered seclusion. A ball of wind lightning appeared above the building, and it flashed with blue and green lights. Almost there, Zhao Feng felt that his 5-elemental wind lightning technique had reached the 7th level. The next step was the 8th level, the fire of wind lightning. The cultivation speed of the 7th level, the wood of wind lightning, was simply too fast. The main reason was because Zhao Feng knew a lot of wood elemental treasures. Just the 100 Origin fruit juice alone was made from the pollen of at least 100 peerless flowers. In the air above the Duke's palace, the ball of wind lightning flashed and released a multicolored light. Its aura had obviously reached a critical point, and it was about to break through. As long as one reached the Void God realm, it wasn't hard to see that Zhao Feng's cultivation had reached a critical point. Outside the garden, this is the chance I've been waiting for. A middle-aged man dressed like a servant turned into a streak of gray light and dashed into the garden pavilion, disappearing in a flash. Within the cultivation room, Zhao Feng was sitting cross-legged and trying to break through to the 8th level of the wind lightning technique, the fire of wind lightning. Shua! Behind him, a dark stream of light suddenly flashed and condensed into a mysterious man in the shadow of a black stream. Left-eyed Heavenly Emperor, you're ranked in the top 10 of the Black Screen Corner assassination rankings. much higher than even Duke Nanfeng. Don't blame me for coming back. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight held a dark shadow sword and stabbed toward Zhao Feng silently with a lethal coldness. Chapter 897. Left-Eyed Heavenly Emperor, it's time to end this. The moment Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's rippling dark shadow sword appeared, it stabbed toward Zhao Feng, who was sitting cross-legged. Whoosh! The shadow-like sword surpassed the limits of normal matter and almost completely ignored defense as it pierced through Zhao Feng's back. Zhao Feng's body froze, and he didn't have any strength to fight back at all. This scene was similar to how Supreme Emperor Dark Knight had succeeded with Duke Nanfeng. This was because Supreme Emperor Dark Knight had launched a sneak attack first. At such a close distance, it was almost impossible to dodge the sword's speed. Furthermore, the target was in the middle of cultivating, so he was extremely focused and didn't have much of an awareness of the outside world. There was no blood flowing from the wound on Zhao Feng, but wisps of black smoke started to rise. Zhao Feng's body started to rot, and his life force started to disappear. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's eyebrows raised as he felt that something was wrong. Any target he wanted to assassinate, he had to gather sufficient intelligence and information. For example, this left-eyed Heavenly Emperor didn't only have a powerful eye bloodline, he specialized in the soul, and his physical body was also extremely strong. Logically speaking, the difficulty of assassinating Zhao Feng was even higher than Duke Nanfeng's. Even though his Shadow Sky stabbing sword was one of the 7 sacred weapons of the Assassin Dao and contained the Black Spring poison unique to Black Screen Corner, it shouldn't have been able to kill Zhao Feng so easily. Right when he realized that something was wrong, a cold intent came from his back along with a familiar disturbance of the Tao of assassination. Meow meow. A dagger that was as dark as a shadow stabbed into Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body from behind. The aura of the dagger was on par with his Shadow Sky piercing sword. Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared behind Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Its attack was unleashed almost at the same time Supreme Emperor Dark Knight succeeded. As long as Supreme Emperor Dark Knight stabbed Zhao Feng, he wouldn't be able to dodge this attack. What? Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger? Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's shadowy body writhed as a sharp pain came from it. If it was an ordinary attack, with his 8-winged shadow doppelganger, he wouldn't be worried at all. At most, he would lose 1 doppelganger. However, the little thieving cat's Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger and its attacks were of the same lineage as his, which countered his bloodline. What made his heart go cold was that the sword that had pierced through Zhao Feng was obviously not his true body. Bang! A thunderous roar resounded in the soul dimension, as if 10,000 lightning tribulations were descending. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's main body had just been injured when thunder boomed in the soul dimension. Boom! In the next instant, a domineering force as terrifying as a thunderous mountain crushed down on his body. A circle of golden blue fist light covered Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's entire body from bottom to top. Rumble. The entire loft where he cultivated was instantly annihilated. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body was sent flying by a golden blue figure that had drilled out of the ground, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight, I've been waiting for you. Zhao Feng's golden blue sacred body grew taller, and when he sent Supreme Emperor Dark Knight flying, he used the sacred lightning dominating fist to unleash a barrage of attacks. So, the real Zhao Feng had been lying in ambush down below, cultivating. The cultivation scene displayed on the roof of the pavilion was also real. The fake Zhao Feng, sitting on the top, was just a body made from the spiritual flesh snow jade lotus. Because his aura was connected to Zhao Feng, it was hard to see through him. Apart from that, Zhao Feng had the little thieving cat wait in the corner behind him. As long as Supreme Emperor Dark Knight stabbed the fake spiritual flesh snow jade lotus, he wouldn't be able to dodge the little thieving cat's sneak attack. I've been tricked. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body was blasted into the air, and his true body was injured by the combined attacks of Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat. Although his movement technique was extremely cunning, he couldn't escape from Zhao Feng's left eye. Sacred, lightning, dominating fist. Zhao Feng punched out one giant fist of golden lightning after another. It was like a metal mountain of lightning, glorious and domineering. Every time it charged forward, it would crush the air, accompanied by the image of a blazing sun burning the sky. Boom! Crack! Under the pressure of the sacred, lightning, dominating fist and the blood devil sun bloodline, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's shadow-like body was instantly shattered and turned to ashes. What a unique 8-winged dark shadow doppelganger. With Zhao Feng's god-spiritual eye, he saw Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body split into 2 dark shadows. One of the shadows took most of the damage from the main body and was instantly destroyed. His true body split off and turned into a black shadow that hid in the air, using a concealment technique similar to the little thieving cats. Shua, Supreme Lord Dark Knight, who was in a hidden state, had a pair of dark bat wings on his back. He blended into the night, and his speed of escaping was extremely shocking. In the blink of an eye, the real Supreme Emperor Dark Knight had already flown out of the Duke's palace, retreating after one attack failed. This was Supreme Emperor Dark Knight style. Furthermore, he had been ambushed by Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat, and his true body was injured. Bastard, how dare you invade the Duke's palace again? Right at this moment, a powerful voice sounded from the depths of the Duke's palace and shook the sky. Wang, a wave of crystal-clear purple-gold light, with a mighty aura that could dominate everything in the world, seeped into the void where the Duke's mansion was located. The battle power of a quasi-sacred lord. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's expression changed. He knew that Duke Nanfeng wasn't dead, but he didn't expect the latter's strength to increase by another level. Wong boom. The space he was in was permeated by purplish golden light. The majestic aura of heaven and earth ignored the soul and the material as it washed over everything. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's figure that was hidden in the night was immediately forced out. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. The experts within the Duke's palace all caught sight of a non-human male with dark bat wings and a skinny frame. The male outsider's body was covered in a layer of dark-colored, fine-veined skin that was shrouded in a layer of black energy. His body seemed to be twisted in the shadows. Stop this bastard! Duke Nanfeng stepped through the air and released a purple and gold light that seemed to glitter. However, the aura from his body suppressed everyone present. Lightning wings flying technique. A pair of lifelike wings of wind and lightning extended from Zhao Feng's back and slashed toward Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. 8 wings shadow destruction. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight sneered. The bat wings on his back transformed into 8 enormous shadow wings that spun into 8 sharp blades that slashed in 8 directions. Shoo! In an instant, 8 enormous shadow-winged blades pierced through the purple golden light in the air. Their power was almost comparable to the attacks of 8 peak emperors. What was even more incredible was that the 8 blades seemed to have their own consciousness, and at least 4 of them slashed toward Zhao Feng and Duke Nanfeng. Crack! Zhao Feng punched out with both fists, and 2 of the shadow wings were shattered by the blazing sun. Duke Nanfeng had the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord, so he was able to easily dispel 2 of the blades. However, the problem was that he still had to worry about the other blades and the danger they would bring to the other living beings in the Duke's palace. Duke Nanfeng was worried and panicked, so he lost sight of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. How many clones does this guy have? Zhao Feng's left eye caught sight of one of the giant wings that shot through the air toward the outer space. Shua! Within the limitless ocean outside of the island zone, a streak of black light suddenly appeared and condensed into a bat-winged male with a weak expression. As expected of the left-eyed heavenly emperor, you managed to make me fail today, but your nightmare has just begun. However, your nightmare has just begun. No one below the Sacred Lord realm can escape my pursuit. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight looked down coldly. Duke Nanfeng and the others within the Duke's palace had ugly expressions. This was the second time Supreme Emperor Dark Knight had charged into the Duke's palace. Last time, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight succeeded and ruined Duke Nanfeng's attempt to break through. However, in terms of speed, even Duke Nanfeng, who had the battle power of a quasi-sacred lord, wouldn't be able to catch up to Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. There was only one person within the Duke's palace with a calm expression. That person was Zhao Feng. This time, he had set up an ambush and lured Supreme Emperor Dark Knight into an ambush, injuring the latter. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight, I'll give you 10 breaths to escape. The purple-haired youth remained calm, but his left eye was locked onto Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's main body. What? Hearing that, not only did Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body shake, but everyone within the Duke's palace also looked at Zhao Feng in disbelief. Zhao Feng stood where he was and didn't chase after him. His left eye seemed to ignore the restrictions of space and locked onto Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Brat, you're the first person who dares to say something like that to me. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's expression was grim, and he felt a coldness. However, he couldn't stay here no matter what. He wasn't Duke Nanfeng and Zhao Feng's match if they teamed up. Being a peak assassin from the Tao of Assassination, he didn't specialize in fighting head-on. Although his battle power was close to that of a quasi-sacred lord, his chances of winning weren't high if he fought head-on against someone like Zhao Feng or demonic Emperor Xianluo. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Zhao Feng didn't move and started count. Duke Nanfeng next to him started to move, but Zhao Feng stopped him. Zhao Feng, I hope your words won't become a joke. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight suppressed the anger and shock in his heart as he turned into a streak of black light and merged into the limitless ocean with a speed that normal emperors couldn't even catch up to. 10 breaths hadn't passed yet, so Zhao Feng didn't chase after him. Instead, his gaze landed on Duke Nanfeng. Your Highness, if you want to kill this bastard, it's best if I can borrow your cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. Zhao Feng, are you really going to chase after Supreme Emperor Dark Knight by yourself? Duke Nanfeng asked in a solemn tone. He knew that he couldn't stop Zhao Feng. With the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly, I should have a 70 to 80% chance of success. Zhao Feng replied. The 10 breaths were getting closer and closer. Duke Nanfeng didn't hesitate any longer and took out the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly was very friendly when it saw Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat, and it soon stuck together with the little thieving cat. Zhao Feng reached out and put the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly and the little thieving cat into the misty spatial world. Zhao Feng, you need to be careful. With your strength, as long as you don't get too careless, you won't be attacked by the injured Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Duke Nanfeng warned. Your Highness, don't worry. I'll be back soon. After saying that, the wings of wind and lightning spread behind Zhao Feng's back and shot toward the limitless ocean. Lightning, wings, flash. A sharp light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes as the wings of wind and lightning behind his back released a blinding light. His speed reached the maximum, and he turned into an arc of lightning that shot through the air. So fast, within the Duke's palace, Duke Nanfeng and company exclaimed. Chapter 898. The lightning wings spatial flash was the highest level of flying in the wind-lightning inheritance of the wind-lightning emperor. In essence, this wasn't just pure flight. Instead, it was the fusion of extreme speed with the lightning wings, achieving a kind of teleportation. Whoosh, one could only see a long arc of lightning pass through the limitless ocean and cross 10,000 miles in the blink of an eye. Of course, due to the difference in gravity and air resistance, one could travel 10 times faster in the limitless ocean than in the limitless ocean. In other words, every time Zhao Feng used spatial flash in the limitless ocean, he could cross 10,000 miles in an instant. From this, one could see how terrifying it was. And this was when he hadn't completely unleashed his full power. In this life, Zhao Feng's 5 elemental wind lightning technique had more wind lightning yuan energy than in his previous life, so he was like a fish in the water when using the lightning wings spatial flash. On the other side of the limitless ocean, what a joke. Give me 10 breaths of time. Isn't that brat scared of losing his tongue? The outline of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's figure appeared within a black streak of light. After leaving the Duke's palace, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight used his strongest secret technique to fly almost 100,000 miles away. Mockery appeared on Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's face. If he had 10 breaths of time, even a mystic light realm, Sacred Lord, wouldn't be able to catch up. He subconsciously turned to look behind him. As expected, that junior didn't chase after him. He was just trying to win with words. Whoosh! Just as Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was feeling disdainful, the sound of wind and lightning came from behind him along with the disturbance of space. How is this possible? Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's expression changed dramatically when he scanned the area with his divine sense, and his body went cold. Behind him, a long arc of lightning shot through the limitless ocean and sped over. Every breath, the arc of lightning would shorten by several thousand miles. Such terrifying speed. It almost surpasses mystic light realm sacred lords that don't specialize in speed. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was scared. Whoosh! Whoosh! He took a deep breath and turned into a black stream of light. Then he suddenly split into two and flew 7,000 to 8,000 miles away in an instant. Then he disappeared. Zhao Feng could only see that the auras of the two wings were exactly the same. They separated and flew far away. If it was a normal emperor or even a quasi-sacred lord, they would be blinded for a moment and lose their target. Zhao Feng sneered, and without the slightest hesitation, he chased after one of the wings. Thunder Wings Spatial Flash. The lightning wings on Zhao Feng's back once again blossomed with a dazzling light of wind and lightning. He turned into a tiny arc of wind and lightning that pierced through the air and flew away. In just a few breaths' time, Zhao Feng caught up to a flowing black wing light that was in a hidden state. It's completely ineffective. A trace of panic finally appeared on Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's face. Not only did his opponent's speed surpass his own, he also had a superb tracking technique. This was especially true for Zhao Feng's eye bloodline, which countered all his escape techniques. The lightning arcs behind him were getting closer and closer. It was impossible to dodge. Since I can't escape, I can only give him my all. Hatred and insanity appeared in Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's eyes. He had many forbidden secret techniques that could even threaten mystic light realm sacred lords. He only needed to use one or two of them to save himself. Shua! Shua! In the next instant, Zhao Feng used a spatial flash to get within a few dozen miles of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Ruthlessness flashed through Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's eyes. He had already finished preparing his bloodline secret technique, and he was just waiting for Zhao Feng to get close so that he could counterattack. However, Zhao Feng paused and opened his left eye, and a surge of soul eye bloodline power appeared. Soul chains. In an instant, transparent, dark, purple chains of lightning pierced through the soul dimension and wrapped around Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body. Wang, the soul chains bound Supreme Monarch Dark Knight's soul, and he was struck by lightning dizziness. Don't! Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body froze. When his soul was restricted, all physical attacks were useless. The soul chains were also called soul shackles, and they were used to restrict the target soul. No matter how strong one was, it was useless if their soul was restricted. Open. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul intent was stronger than most peak emperors, so he was able to struggle even though the soul chains were restricting him. Whoosh! Whoosh! Black smoke rose from the surface of the transparent, dark, purple chains of lightning, and a weird sound of tension could be heard. In the physical dimension, wisps of black flames started to radiate from Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body, and they howled for dozens of miles. Zhao Feng wasn't moved. He circulated his left eye and restricted Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. His sacred lightning body's defense was extremely strong, and the shockwaves from the true Yuan secret technique were enough to kill kings. However, they weren't able to harm him at all. Rumble. Boom. The number of dark purple chains of lightning increased, and they released wisps of God Tribulation lightning that attacked Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul. Arg. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight screamed as he struggled, and scorch marks appeared on his soul. Next, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight started to struggle less, and his body started to spasm. His soul started to suffer more and more injuries from the God Tribulation lightning. Zhao Feng slowly increased the power of the soul chains. When the restriction reached a certain level, the target would completely lose control of their body. However, the strength of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul was the same as Zhao Feng's, so it wasn't easy for him to do this. Luckily, Zhao Feng could use the power of God Tribulation lightning to increase the damage to Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul. A dozen breaths later, 60 to 70% of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul had been restricted by Zhao Feng. It's about time. Zhao Feng faintly nodded his head and gently waved his arm. Meow. A dark silver illusory line flashed past. In the next instant, a small silver-gray cat and a chubby silkworm appeared in the air above Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. Wong. The little silkworm opened its mouth and spat out colorful silk that instantly tied up Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body. In the blink of an eye, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight turned into a multicolored dumpling. Pong. The little thieving cat held a spade and hit the multicolored dumpling. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body shook, and a wave of dizziness came over him, interrupting the backlash he was trying to use. Whoosh! The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly immediately flapped its wings, and a half-transparent multicolored pollen landed on the multicolored dumpling. Dream pollen, it's over. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight felt his body go limp, and he lost control of his bloodline and true Yuan. Adding on the fact that Zhao Feng was using the soul chains, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was completely restrained and couldn't resist. He didn't even have the ability to self-destruct. Who? Zhao Feng let out a breath, but he still maintained the soul chains and released wisps of God Tribulation lightning to weaken Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul intent. Against an expert at Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's level, they couldn't give him any chance to retaliate. Otherwise, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight might become the second Emperor of Death, and he could use forbidden techniques like the cursed words of death to make Zhao Feng pay a heavy price. Furthermore, Zhao Feng needed a living Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. If he self-destructed, he would lose all value. Gaze of the God Eye. Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique changed, and a bottomless dark purple whirlpool appeared in his left eye. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul was extremely weak, and it was sucked into the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye after struggling for a bit. Once it entered the dimension of the left eye, even the aura of the demigod head would be suppressed, and the soul of an emperor would be easily controlled. Whoosh! Zhao Feng put Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body into the misty, spatial world. He then floated in the air and used the Dark Heart Seal on Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. It wasn't hard for Zhao Feng to kill Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. His goal was to control this assassin whose battle power was close to his sacred lord. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight stood at the peak of the assassin world across the Lord dynasty. Before this, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight had even participated in the assassination of an injured sacred lord and succeeded. From this, one could see how strong he was. Don't even think about it. I'd rather die. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's will was extremely strong, and he knew what was about to happen. Zhao Feng was half happy and half worried, and he could only slow down the use of the Dark Heart Seal. Otherwise, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's consciousness would be destroyed. The stronger one's will was, the stronger and more potential Supreme Emperor Dark Knight had. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight, I have a lot of 100 Origins sacred honey here. As long as you agree to be my slave for 100 years, I'll let you live in the future. Zhao Feng promised. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul started to think. Die or become a sacred lord and regain your freedom in 100 years. After saying that, Zhao Feng circulated the Dark Heart Seal to the maximum and left a mark in the depths of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's soul. An hour later, Master, a non-human male with dark bat wings, half knelt in front of Zhao Feng. His face was weak, but his eyes were filled with respect. Go in and rest. Don't worry about resources. Zhao Feng nodded his head in satisfaction. Shua. He waved his hand and put Supreme Emperor Dark Knight into the substandard God Misty spatial world. The little world within the Misty spatial world had spiritual chi and resources. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight would be able to recover soon. Half the time it took to make tea later. Zhao Feng returned to the Duke's palace by himself. Duke. Zhao Feng had a grateful expression as he handed the unharmed cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly back to Duke Nanfeng. Zhao Feng, it's good that you're back. Duke Nanfeng put away the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly and inspected Zhao Feng. He was slightly surprised to find that there were no signs of battle on Zhao Feng's body. At the very least, there weren't any obvious injuries. There were only two results. The first was that Zhao Feng and Supreme Emperor Dark Knight didn't fight, and they split up after exchanging a few blows. The second was that Zhao Feng easily finished off Supreme Emperor Dark Knight. But was that even possible? Zhao Feng, you need to be careful. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight won't give up so easily after failing to assassinate you. He's patient enough to wait for several years, or even dozens of years. Duke Nanfeng warned in a solemn tone. Everyone would have a moment of weakness. A skilled assassin would grasp that instant, and it wouldn't be strange for the weak to kill the strong. Duke, don't worry. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight won't cause trouble for us anymore, Zhao Feng said confidently. Hearing that, Duke Nanfeng exclaimed in shock. Could it be that you finished off Supreme Emperor Dark Knight? I guess so. Zhao Feng didn't explain too much. He didn't want to reveal Supreme Emperor Dark Knight for now. In the future, this would be one of his killing moves. Chapter 899. Duke Nanfeng looked deeply at Zhao Feng. From their words, he could feel that what Zhao Feng meant by getting rid of Supreme Emperor Dark Knight wasn't as simple as it sounded. Before he left, Zhao Feng said in a probing tone, "The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly has recovered to its peak in all aspects. Is your highness willing to trade this butterfly for a chance to break through to the mystic light realm?" Hearing that, a light flashed through Duke Nanfeng's eyes as he stared at Zhao Feng for a long time. Zhao Feng had a smile that didn't seem like a smile. He was extremely calm in front of the faint aura of a quasi-sacred lord. Those who were familiar with Duke Nanfeng knew that the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly was his treasure. Apart from its powerful abilities, it was also very important. However, Zhao Feng was just probing. He was extremely tempted by the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly's super supportive abilities. More importantly, he still had 10 portions of 100 origin sacred honey. He could use one portion to help the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly break through to the mystic light realm. Zhao Feng, I need to think about this for a while. Duke Nanfeng finally replied after thinking for a long time. Zhao Feng was very surprised. He originally thought that Duke Nanfeng would reject it on the spot. Of course, you need to be mentally prepared. The chance of me agreeing isn't very high. If it was someone else's suggestion, I wouldn't even consider it. Duke Nanfeng added, Understand. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. He was already surprised that Duke Nanfeng was willing to consider it. Obviously, Duke Nanfeng knew that Zhao Feng had the 100 origin sacred honey. After all, it had been half a year since the divine illusion dimension ended. Reaching the mystic light realm was Duke Nanfeng's dream. It was his life's dream. As long as he could take this step, it would greatly affect his life. However, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly was also very important to him. Its value would definitely surpass the 100 origin sacred honey. Your Highness, you can think about it first. Apart from the 100 origin sacred honey, there are also legendary ores used to craft substandard god weapons. Their true value will surpass the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly. Zhao Feng also calmly stated his conditions. He also understood that the value of the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly surpassed a portion of 100 origin sacred honey. This was because the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly could secrete origin pollen that could increase the chances of becoming a sacred lord. However, each cloud silkworm immortal butterfly could only produce its origin pollen a few times in its life. If it produced too many times, it would affect its growth potential. The next time the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly secreted, it would be 100 years later, and if they forcefully secreted it, they would lose the chance to break through to the mystic light realm. A legendary or used to forge a subdivine artifact, Duke Nanfeng watched as Zhao Feng left, and his heartbeat sped up. Right now, he was a quasi-sacred lord. As long as he could obtain a portion of the 100 origin sacred honey, he would be able to break through to the mystic light realm. As for the legendary, or used to forge a substandard god artifact, it might be able to help him forge a substandard god artifact. At the very least, it would be able to forge a divine weapon that was comparable to or close to a substandard god artifact. This would increase his battle prowess and might, and it could make up for the loss of the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly. On the other side, Zhao Feng returned to the front of the pavilion's garden. "Brother Zhao," a clear, bell-like voice came from the bushes in the garden. "Young princess." Zhao Feng was surprised as he looked at Princess Yuqing sneakily. This was the first time she had come to find Zhao Feng after Duke Nanfeng taught Princess Yuqing a lesson. Seeing this princess made Zhao Feng's head hurt. "Brother Zhao, I won't bother you. I came this time because I want you to help me tame a Yao monkey," Princess Yuqing said. Princess Yuqing soon told him why she was here. Princess Yuqing had received a gift from the Great Gan Imperials not long ago during her coming-of-age ceremony. This gift was an extremely high-tier, monkey-type beast pet. "Okay, I'll help you." Zhao Feng nodded his head and agreed. He didn't even need to do anything himself. The little thieving cat would be able to do it. "Young princess, what does the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly mean to your father?" Zhao Feng asked. This concerned whether or not he could successfully obtain the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly, a spiritual pet with a 10,000 ancient races bloodline. "The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly is something that my grandmother, whom I've never met, gave to my father before she died." Princess Yuqing answered Zhao Feng's question. Zhao Feng understood. So, the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly had such an important meaning to Duke Nanfeng. No wonder he was so hesitant about trading it. From the looks of it, the chance of Duke Nanfeng agreeing isn't high. Zhao Feng murmured in his heart. Within the cultivation room, Zhao Feng sat down and entered the misty spatial world with his consciousness. The little world within the misty spatial world was extremely big. It was several times the size of the Cloud Country. At this moment in time, Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was recovering in a certain corner. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's injuries were mainly soul-related. Zhao Feng had obtained some treasures that could heal soul-related injuries when he raided Xieyang Palace. However, the injuries caused by the God Tribulation Lightning weren't something that could be healed in a short amount of time. "Supreme Emperor Dark Knight, after you recover, I need you to create an underground organization of assassins similar to Black Screen Corner," Zhao Feng messaged. "Master, I have a group of elites in Black Screen Corner. They're mainly responsible for gathering information and providing support for assassinations. However, a group of assassins isn't enough to create a superpower like Black Screen Corner." Supreme Emperor Dark Knight replied respectfully. However, he gave his own opinion about Zhao Feng's plan. Zhao Feng wasn't surprised by this. The Dark Heart Seal had been perfected many times, and while it enslaved the target, it also retained the ability to think independently. "Tell me about it." Black Screen Corner is one of the 3 superpowers of the underground world. They gather information, assassinations, and other powerful channels, and they travel between lord dynasties and clans. Furthermore, this organization has always been neutral, and their assassinations don't only come from within the organization. Any other assassin can join as long as they're strong enough and take on assassinations. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight explained. Zhao Feng nodded his head in thought. The specialty of Black Screen Corner was that it was neutral and didn't belong to any force. It could borrow limitless outside power. You don't need to worry about the intelligence organization. You're only responsible for the assassination organization. I'll provide you with the resources. Zhao Feng ordered. Everyone had their own specialties, and a superpower needed to have a powerful organization with people that specialized in that area in charge. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight, without a doubt, stood at the peak of the world of assassins. Creating such an organization was what he specialized in. What surprised Zhao Feng was that Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's ambition wasn't small, and he had his own elite forces in the underground world. This meant that the assassin organization that Zhao Feng wanted to establish wouldn't lack elite members in the early stages. This is a portion of sacred origin honey. When the time is right, you can use it to break through to the mystic light realm. Our promise is still valid. As long as you serve me for 100 years, I'll return your freedom. A small bottle that contained a half-frozen rainbow honey appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. Thank you, Master. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's body trembled in excitement as he took the small bottle of 100 origin sacred honey. With his current strength, the chances of him breaking through to the mystic light realm would increase by 40 to 50% if he had the help of the 100 origin sacred honey. Of course, before that, he needed to recover from his injuries and return his peak state. In another corner of the misty spatial world, Zhao Feng inspected the situation of the 5 poison bees. After leaving the divine illusion dimension for so long, these 5 poison bees had fully matured. At this moment, most of these non-poisonous bees had reached the elite level, and they were comparable to half-step kings. There were 700 to 800 of them. There were close to 100 bee kings. However, the number of bee emperors was still relatively small, only 7 or 8 of them. However, even then, Zhao Feng was surprised. His goal was to nurture these wasps into king level through survival of the fittest. Imagine how terrifying it would be if more than 1,000 bee kings attacked together. Even a sacred lord would have to retreat in fear. I'll need some time to reach that step, and I'll need to use up a large amount of resources. Zhao Feng retracted his consciousness. He was still waiting for someone in the Duke's palace. Zhao Feng wasn't sure if the person he was waiting for would come or not. Within the cultivation room, Zhao Feng closed his eyes and started to cultivate. Before Supreme Emperor Dark Knight's assassination, Zhao Feng was at the crucial moment of breaking through to the 8th level of the wind lightning technique. Now, he was in seclusion. With the support of his powerful intent and resources, Zhao Feng didn't encounter any obvious bottlenecks. Several days later, a green and blue whirlpool of wind lightning appeared above the building Zhao Feng was in. The aura from the whirlpool of wind lightning became more and more chaotic as the water of wind lightning and wood of wind lightning kept on changing. 10 days later, wong boom, a red light appeared in the center of the whirlpool of wind lightning, and it radiated a destructive aura of fire and lightning. At the same time, within Zhao Feng's true Yuan Sea, the wood of wind lightning expanded and swallowed the 3rd elemental wind lightning, the fire of wind lightning. Because he cultivated the 5 elemental wind lightning technique, Zhao Feng's true Yuan Sea was different from normal void god realm cultivators. There was a membrane inside his crystal core that separated the original water of wind lightning from the wood of wind lightning. Of the two, the water of wind lightning was the starting source, and it had the most amount. The water of wind lightning could be turned into the wood of wind lightning. Now, after the wood of wind lightning, another barrier formed and formed the fire of wind lightning. This fire of wind lightning was similar to the scarlet destruction wind lightning from his previous life, which was why Zhao Feng was able to form it so smoothly. This fire of wind lightning is extremely powerful, and its offensive power is even stronger. It can also strengthen secret techniques like the wings of wind and lightning. Zhao Feng continued to form the fire of wind lightning. At the same time, he took out some fire elemental resources from the misty spatial world to speed up the process. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. Zhao Feng had completely stepped into the 8th level of the wind lightning technique, the fire of wind lightning. At this moment, a scarlet-red wind lightning took up almost a quarter of the true Yuan Ci within his body. Zhao Feng felt that his cultivation was slowly getting closer to the late-stage void god realm. He circulated the fire of wind lightning to refine his sacred lightning body, and he found that this new 5-elemental wind lightning had good body-strengthening effects. His golden Kuan sacred lightning body, which was originally at the late stages of the 5th level, started to show signs of reaching the peak stages of the 5th level. Zhao Feng realized that he was at a crucial moment where his strength would increase dramatically. It's almost time to use the 100 Origin Sacred Honey. His eyes twinkled, and a bottle of multicolored honey appeared in his hand. Chapter 900. After giving Supreme Emperor Dark Knight a portion of the 100 Origin Sacred Honey, Zhao Feng still had 9 portions left. He planned to leave 3 portions for himself. Of the 3 portions of 100 Origin Sacred Honey, the first was for him to reach the peak of the 5th level of the Sacred Lightning Body, the second was for him to break through to the Mystic Light Realm, and the third was for him to break through to the 6th level of the Sacred Lightning Body. In fact, repeated consumption of the 100 Origin Sacred Honey would greatly reduce its effects. If there were more than 3 portions or even 2 portions, it would be a waste of the 100 Origin Sacred Honey's value. After I refine my body with the fire of wind lightning and get close to the peak 5th level of the Sacred Body, I'll drink another portion of 100 Origin Sacred Honey and reach the limits of the 5th level of the Sacred Lightning Body. This will be the foundation for me to break through to the 6th level of the Sacred Lightning Body and become a Sacred Lord. Zhao Feng thought for a moment, then resisted the urge and put away the 100 Origin Sacred Honey. The later he consumed the 100 Origin Sacred Honey before breaking through to the 6th level of the Sacred Lightning Body, the greater its effect and potential. Zhao Feng was waiting for the best opportunity to arrive. Inside the secret chamber, Zhao Feng's Soul Sea world was still tirelessly absorbing the God Tribulation Lightning's power. Due to the 10,000 Divine Thoughts technique, his cultivation was usually split into several streams of intent, except for when he was about to make a breakthrough. Absorbing the power of the Divine Tribulation Lightning was a daily routine. Buzz. More than 1,500 lightning tribulation marks appeared in his purple soul sea. Tiny lightning patterns appeared as he continued to temper his soul. Right now, Zhao Feng's purple soul sea had reached its peak of 3,000 feet in diameter in his previous life, and it was even more condensed and powerful. His soul intent had almost surpassed the limits of an emperor and touched the soul of a mystic light realm. It's about time for my wind lightning true origin to absorb the lightning tribulation. A sharp light flashed in Zhao Feng's eyes. In this life, his quintessence did not absorb the power of the lightning tribulation too quickly. Instead, he absorbed a relatively large amount of the power of the lightning tribulation as a foundation and comprehended it to a certain degree. Pist, the lightning tribulation imprints in his purple soul sea split into fine lightning tribulation patterns and merged with his veritable essence space. In the space of the true essence sea, the amount of true essence was vast and boundless. If it was integrated into all the true essence, then the power of the thunder tribulation would be greatly diluted. Zhao Feng only chose the fire of wind lightning. The fire of wind thunder was the 3rd type of wind thunder. It had the highest quality and the strongest defensive power, but it had the fewest number of wind thunder. The purpose of this was to maximize the power of the tribulation lightning. Just as Zhao Feng was about to take this step, in the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, an uninvited guest arrived at the Marquis residence. While Zhao Feng was cultivating, he felt his true yuan and blood qi stagnate. Even his soul felt inexplicably heavy. Unknowingly, a majestic and boundless aura had affected the area around the Duke's mansion. The existence of that aura reigned above all things, causing the origin chi in the surroundings to tremble as if it was worshipping a sage. Regardless of whether it was the external origin energy of the heavens and the earth, one's own true essence, bloodline, will, sword intent, and all sorts of other powers, all of them were unable to escape the suppression of that aura. This aura. Zhao Feng raised his head, his heart in shock. The sky within a radius of several thousand kilometers was gradually sinking into darkness, giving off the illusion that darkness was descending. At that instant, the Duke's mansion and the surrounding several thousand miles seemed to be covered in darkness. Inside the Duke's mansion, all was silent. Countless living beings felt suffocated and fell into a stiff state, unable to speak at all. That power could change heaven and earth and make everything bow down to it. Within a side hall of the Duke's mansion, Duke Nanfeng, I only have one goal for coming here. I'm sure you know that. A black-robed demonic lord within a black whirlpool slowly spoke. His state of existence was like a ball of demonic light. His eyes were pitch black, and every ray of divine intent contained a power that could shatter heaven and earth. That voice echoed in the air, and it was as if it was the ruler of heaven and earth that no one dared to defy. If it was a normal void god realm, they wouldn't even be able to speak in front of the owner of this voice. Their will, breathing, and blood would all be suppressed. Nine Darkness Demonic Lord, your mystic light realm, sacred lord. Is it worth it for you to take action for a junior? Even if I'm willing, the Imperials can't be offended. Duke Nanfeng took a deep breath and slowly spoke. Under the invisible aura of a sacred lord, every breath he took and every word he said was much heavier than normal. This was under the condition that the other party was holding back and wasn't completely unrestrained. Otherwise, if the aura of a sacred lord was fully released, over 99% of the beings within the Duke's mansion would be instantly killed. After all, Mystic Light Realm sacred lords stood at the peak of their generation. It was extremely difficult to see them under normal circumstances. Zhao Feng is the famous left-eyed heavenly emperor of the Tsang Ocean, and he isn't someone to be underestimated. Nine Darkness Palace will compensate the Duke's mansion for the losses. As for the Imperials, I will report it to the Grand Imperial Hall and even apologize personally. The Nine Darkness Demonic Lord's words were flawless and impeccable. Using the identity of the left-eyed Heavenly Emperor would remove any suspicion that the Nine Darkness Demonic Lord was bullying the weak. The Nine Darkness Demonic Lord would take responsibility for the losses of the Duke's Mansion and the Imperials. There was only one goal for the Nine Darkness Demonic Lord, to capture Zhao Feng. Duke Nanfeng's expression kept on changing as he shook his head. Lord Demonic Lord, Zhao Feng is my friend. If I hand him over, how will the people of the world look at me? Since Duke Nanfeng couldn't deal with the Nine Darkness Demonic Lord, he might as well talk about his personal relationship. No matter what, he was going to fight to the end. Duke Nanfeng, are you not going to give me face? The Nine Darkness Demonic Lord had an angry expression, and the black whirlpool around him started to twist. Boom! Duke Nanfeng's bloodline and true Yuan started to throb, and his soul intent started to creak under the pressure. This was because he had reached the level of a quasi-sacred lord and was barely able to face the Nine Darkness Demonic Lord head-on. Apart from Sky Suspension Palace, who else does the Great Ghan Imperials need to give face to? Duke Nanfeng didn't back down. An invisible power of providence rose from his body. Streaks of faint dragon-like light circled around his body. Suddenly, the pressure on his body lessened a little. The power of draconic providence. The Nine Darkness Demonic Lord expression changed slightly as he looked at Duke Nanfeng with a dark expression. The power of draconic providence wasn't a normal power of providence. Only the upper echelon of the Imperials with pure bloodlines could control it. This was the reason why the Great Ghan Imperials were able to rule this world. The Nine Darkness Demonic Lord knew that Duke Nanfeng was reminding him who was the true ruler of the continent zone. Duke Nanfeng, who was a quasi-sacred lord, had draconic providence and the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly. He would even be able to fight back against a mystic light realm sacred lord. Right as the two experts were in a stalemate, Duke, a purple-haired youth, slowly walked into the side hall. Zhao Feng, Duke Nanfeng, and the 9 darkness demonic lords' gazes landed on this youth. Zhao Feng stood within the hall and felt as if all the power in this dimension had been sealed by the aura of the mystic light realm. The 9 darkness demonic lords' state of existence had surpassed the mortal body and reached an unimaginable level. This gave him the ability to look down on heaven and earth and treat all life as ants. You're Zhao Feng. If you don't want to harm the innocent, then come with me. The 9 darkness demonic lords said emotionlessly. As his gaze locked onto Zhao Feng felt his body and soul become heavy. At this moment, every action of Zhao Feng's, including his thoughts, was much slower than usual. No matter who won or lost, one thing was certain. Once they fought, Zhao Feng would be immediately suppressed. Fine, I'll come with you. Zhao Feng's gaze was calm, as if he was willing to compromise. The 9 darkness demonic lord paused for a moment. This Zhao Feng had killed several peak emperors of 9 darkness palace. Would he just obediently come with him? Duke Nanfeng's expression changed. Zhao Feng, don't be scared by him. I owe you a favor. If the two of us team up, we can even fight against a mystic light realm sacred lord. Indeed, if Zhao Feng teamed up with Duke Nanfeng and the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly, they would be able to fight against the 9 darkness demonic lord. After all, their battle power surpassed peak emperors, and they had even reached the level of quasi-sacred lords. The 9 darkness demonic lord didn't want to see such a situation. He wasn't scared of Zhao Feng and Duke Nanfeng teaming up. What he was scared of was the Great Ghan Imperials, or more accurately, the Grand Imperial Hall. Thank you for your good intentions, but you can protect me now, but you can't protect me forever. Furthermore, I hope that the favor you owe me will be after you reach the mystic light realm. Zhao Feng smiled faintly and rejected Duke Nanfeng's good intentions. He sighed in his heart. He didn't think that an invincible existence like the 9 darkness demonic lord would come. Zhao Feng, Duke Nanfeng's eyes constricted in disbelief. However, based on his understanding, Zhao Feng wouldn't do anything he wasn't confident in. Shua! With a flash of lightning, Zhao Feng appeared in the air above the Duke's palace and laughed. Emperors are lonely and boring. I've been waiting for this battle for a long time. Rumble. At that instant, Zhao Feng's eyes were filled with intent, and his soul dimensions started to rumble. His intent and bloodline seemed to burn, and his battle intent that had been dormant for a long time was ignited. What a strong intent! This Zhao Feng is challenging a mystic light realm sacred lord. The expressions of some experts within the Duke's palace changed dramatically. Duke Nanfeng's heart shook as he looked at the youth full of fighting spirit. Even he, a quasi-sacred lord, couldn't compare to such courage, confidence, and drive. Brat, I can tell that you've never fought against a mystic light realm before. The 9 darkness demonic lord laughed instead of getting angry. Shua! With a flash, a black streak of light shot toward Zhao Feng with lightning-like speed. Boom! Near the air membrane of the inner island, a sound that shook the void world resounded. A tall, pitch-black demonic shadow clashed head-on with a small golden-blue giant. Boom! A pair of large, scarlet wings of lightning extended from the back of the golden-blue giant, and its sacred lightning fist shot into the sky like a blood-colored sun. A terrifying cracking sound came from around Zhao Feng the instant they clashed. Pung! Zhao Feng's blood boiled, and the scarlet wings of lightning behind his back dimmed by more than half. They were almost shattered. In just one exchange, his true essence and bloodline were almost shattered by the domineering demonic light that could suppress the heavens. Luckily, the foundation of his body and soul was extremely strong, so he wasn't severely injured this time. Brat, you only suffered light injuries after taking 40% of my power. I admit that I underestimated you. The 9 Darkness demonic lords figure pause for a moment before leaping toward Zhao Feng with a demonic light that seemed to be able to pierce through everything. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.